What's up, guys? Edrone here. Good to see everybody in the house tonight. If I sound a little off, just getting over a 3 or 4 day bout with the flu, so we're on the winning end. Real quick, Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome in our special guest, Zoe FPV. We got my man Smags FPV. Good to see you as well, brother. We got One Vision Aerial. Good to see you, homie. We got Drone Shots in the house. King Keek, what up? We got my man Grant. Good to see you, homie. We got Forevermore in the house. Fly Tribe Magazine. One Vision Aerial. Good to see you as well, man. And we got King Keek. We got Baduga FPV in the house. Saggy Balls. What's up? In the Woods as well. Droning with Jamie. Kevin Jameson. What's up, man? Technique FPV. Oh, Mac FPV, what's up? Good to see everybody in the house. Double A, what's up, Aaron? Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. Hey, tonight is a very, very special show, guys. This is probably one of the most anticipated shows in my YouTube career. Who inspires you? Who is that one pilot that inspires you to want to be that better pilot? Well, for me, that'd be Zoe FPV. And there she is, guys. Zoe FPV, welcome.
Hey everybody. I am happy to be here and thanks for having me. I was not expecting the intro that you just gave me as far as like the video and the music. I am a little angry. You pick better music than I do to my own music or my own videos. Small problem.
No way. No way. I can't take
I
that.
liked it better. I liked it better.
I really love those clips, and it just shows just how creative and talented you are as an
Thanks.
FPV pilot. Loved it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I just have to say, you have probably one of the best voices for FPV podcasts I've ever heard. Holy shit. You have the announcer slash the interviewer stick down to a T. And we've only been talking maybe for like 20 minutes total. So yeah, no, it's pretty intense.
Thank you so
Congratulations
much.
on the show. Like yeah, sorry. Go ahead. I am a
No,
little
no
flustered.
apology needed. Thank you so much, because that means the world to me to hear the positive, you know, enforcement that you have for me. Because a lot of people may or may not know. I have talked about it for years. For years I've talked about it, but you guys may not know this. But it's because of this person right here that I got into FPV.
Mm,
I met Zoe FPV 6 years ago at Dover, Delaware International Speedway.
the Dover
And
race.
I was the nerdy guy running around asking everybody all the questions. Oh my God, how do I get into this? This looks amazing. And you, along with everyone else that was there that day, just welcomed every question I had with open arms, and were so friendly and so helpful, and got me in the door with my wizard. And everybody said the same thing. Just get a wizard, man. Just get a wizard.
And back then, that was the call. And honestly, still, I think the Wizard is not a bad drone. Like, still.
Yes. And so it's because of you that I sit here today and
Aw.
have had such a monumental life change with FPV in my life. So from the bottom of my heart, Zoe, thank you so much for not
Aw.
for not shooing away the nerdy guy with all the questions. And
You've told me this once already, and it still hits me hard hearing it a second time. Just like I've heard this, I've heard this before, and it's very touching. Thank you. I'm glad I've inspired somebody to also inspire others to get into the hobby, because you definitely are inspiring others to do that, and it's really cool to see. Um, it's like the magic of it. Like you inspire others to inspire others that inspire others, and hopefully, eventually, everything gets better.
absolutely, Zoe. And the fact that we're both here tonight, we had at least I had my doubts because of my health issues going on at the moment, battling the flu here at the last couple days. I thought to myself, man, I've got to get better. I've got to get ready for this show because this show meant so much to me, and I know you've been going through some trials as well. So not that we wouldn't have rescheduled it, but to be able to actually commit and both of us be here, and we're here now, and we're committed, and we're our health is enough to get us through the show. I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be happier. I'm just
Well, for me, I feel like I've taken the approach of if I'm not dying and I can do it, I'm gonna push myself to do it kind of thing. So like this past week has been probably one of the roughest I've had in years as far as pain management goes. I had a pain flare up a few days ago. It was Tuesday night. Yeah, so earlier this week, about a week ago now. And I was up all night for 2 nights, but one night in particular, convulsing in bed for like 12 hours straight. Just I couldn't stop, and I was dry heaving, pudendal neuralgia pain. It was just like a feedback loop of absolute hell. And it's kind of the thing that I deal with semi often, but that kind of pain flare to that degree doesn't happen very, very often. And a couple of years ago, something like that would take me out for a few weeks, and definitely spiraled me mentally for quite a while. But thankfully, wasn't so much of an issue. I will say, and those that don't know me, hello, I'm Zoe FPV. I think a lot of people in chat do know me, which is I think why I'm like getting a little bit into the medical struggle. But like right now, like I had a great week. It was one of the best starts to a new year I could have had, even with the worst pain I've had in a couple of years. So yeah, that's a positive note.
that's so awesome to hear that you have persevered through so many challenges as well, and that's why I said you inspire me so much, Zoe. You inspire me to fight harder, to try harder, to push harder, because I see how much you have overcome, and I know that if you can overcome these things, then there's things that I can overcome, like this flu. I'm going to overcome it. I'm going to beat it. I'm going to do whatever I can to get ahead of it. And yeah, a couple days ago, I couldn't even get out of the bed barely. It was that bad. I just felt like I wanted to die.
Yeah, I allowed myself one day of pity party this time around.
Yeah, yeah. And I thought to myself, man, I need to get through this. I really am looking forward to this show, and I'm hoping that I'm not going to be the one to have to cancel out and reschedule. But thankfully, my health, it went on the uphill, so
That's good.
I am feeling better now, even though my voice
That's good.
may not be back 100%. We are here tonight to give you guys a show and to talk about how much this woman inspires me, guys. And real quick, before you do anything else, go down in the video description and make sure you are subscribed. And there's no negotiating about this one, guys. Usually I'll say, oh, well, if you like it, so no. You go down and you subscribe now, because this is a person that's going to inspire you to do great things as well. And I know that.
Oh,
I know that from the bottom of my heart. Zoe will inspire and keep continuing to inspire many more pilots to come. So thank you so much.
well, thanks. I can only hope. And it's been a long road in FPV for me, and I know I've been told by many people I've inspired them on some level in FPV, and it's one of those things that like intellectually I understand what it means. Emotionally, I have a hard time fully accepting in a weird way because it's like that's a lot of pressure. Like holy shit, like like it's this thing of like I constantly have to think about, and it's getting kind of deep, but like I've been told that because I've had medical issues for the entirety of my life and getting an FPV. And mostly getting an FPV was because my medical issues got so bad. I couldn't ride my motorcycle. I couldn't engage in regular life anymore. And back then, FPV was just this like little weird thing that barely existed. Like the first ever carbon fiber frame finally came out. And that was when I basically started really getting into it. And it's weird because without FPV, I don't think I would have gotten nearly as far as I have. And I know for a lot of people, FPV is still this like magical escape and this thing that, and there's a lot of studies that done on it, reconnects you to a flow state. There's studies done on flow state, but not so much on FPV. And flow state alone linked to its ability to help you heal, help your body re-engage with the world around it, to help deal with anxiety and depression, just essentially get your brain moving forward again. And that's essentially what flow state forces you to do mentally. Um, it's so magical. So for like me, especially, FPV has been this like thing. There's different versions of Zoe. There's the Zoe before all my medical issues. There's Zoe after my medical issues. Then there's the Zoe with FPV and then without FPV. And I gotta tell you, Zoe with FPV is much closer to Zoe without her medical issues than otherwise. And when I took a couple year break due to increased medical problems and just financial issues and life issues, I was way more depressed. I was way more broken in my mindset, and just having like for example, today I took the potato out. Like this is the DJI FPV potato. I do high end acrobatic flying. My friends like Zoe try the potato in acro mode. I'm like, no, I just want to go cruise around and chill and enjoy myself. This is the one machine that doesn't fly upside down and do acro, right? But the thing is, it's just acro mode was a lot of fun. It gives you this more direct link to the quad. And instead of being along for the ride, you're controlling the ride. And doing that for just 20 minutes today before the stream, like I did that like an hour ago, woke me up. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't need coffee. I'm feeling more awake, more present. It's like a digital drug, essentially, that is, I would say, completely legal, but now with all the rules and regulations coming in around it, not as easy to do, I guess, but still very easily doable.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm very fortunate to have found FPV and gotten into drone racing, and then won several events. And I have a lot of storied history in FPV that has put me on a very interesting path. And I hope that it continues to allow me to inspire and to find more opportunities to support myself in FPV and to continually inspire others in FPV. Because it's really a magical thing, and the entire world, I feel like, needs to at least experience it once to really know what it's about. If not to get into it, to at least know that the people that are into it love it and it's fun.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Very well said. Um, and it's funny because back when I was told about this drone race, in my mind, I had no knowledgement whatsoever of FPV. All I knew was Phantom, camera drone, Walmart toy drone. That's all I knew. So in my mind, I thought, oh, drone race, interesting. Guess they're going to race a bunch of Phantoms around. That ought to be kind of cool. And I get there, and it couldn't be further from what I saw. I see these little things like zipping around and Star Wars vibes going on with the headsets, and everybody's like, in the moment. You could just see they're just zoned in, and these things are going Mach 1 in these little cages, and there's lights, and there's sounds, and there's beeps, and there's people on the microphone talking about lap times, and I'm like, oh my God, this is awesome. And how do I get into this? That's all I could think about was, okay, I need to start asking questions. So let me ask you a question, Zoe, because
Okay.
many people may already know this, but and this is going to take you way back, obviously, but what led and what got you initially into FPV? How did this
Um,
all get started for you? This is very important history
um,
right here, guys.
besides why I got into FPV, what got me in FPV? Sheer fucking boredom of playing video games. And that's the truth of it. To use, I cursed. I used the one curse word. I'm good.
That's okay. That's all
Um,
right.
but yeah, no, the thing got me into it was just sheer boredom of playing video games because like I was stuck in bed. I had a lot of medical issues, and I played maybe 2,000 hours straight of an MMO called The Elder Scrolls Online, and I love that game. I still love that game. Still to this day, I love that game. But it just feels hollow, and especially with medical problems and stuff, you're feeling unfulfilled. You're feeling disconnected from the world around you, largely, especially if you're not getting out of the house and doing stuff. So at the hobby shop, my therapist was like, "Zoe, go to the hobby shop." So I went to the hobby shop, and thank you, therapist. Thank you, Anna. Went to the hobby shop. I found this little micro toy drone. It's like itty bitty tiny thing, like fits in the palm of your hand. It was like little tiny sticks. I keep forgetting the name of it. I still have it hanging around somewhere. And I put probably 30 packs on it on the first like 3 hours I had it. Like I would just fly it, charge it, fly it, charge it, fly it, charge it, fly it, charge it. And I was hooked. I was like, okay, flying is cool. RC drones are cool. And if this little thing is this cool, it's got to get better from there, right? Like if this little tiny thing is this enjoyable. So from there, I got the Nano QX from Horizon Hobby. Still a great little trainer because it has acro mode, stabilize, all the good stuff. And then from there, I got the 180 QX from Horizon Hobby. And that was like a $200 drone at the time. And it has brushed motors,
Oh,
plastic. Like
wow.
realistically, you could get the same drone today for maybe like $10 on Amazon. Like it's as far as like quality and parts go, Horizon Hobby's great, but like it's not a lot of drone for a decent amount of money. And I started looking into what you could find elsewhere. And that's when I found RC Groups, FPV Lab, and a couple other websites. And I started diving down the rabbit hole, and I was like, oh, hey, I can build my own. Why don't I do this? Because I kind of wanted to do art modeling, like actual like painting and stuff. And I'd done that in the past. So I figured doing something with my hands was going to be good. And I get to fly at the end of it. So it took me about 3.5, 4 months to assemble everything I needed to actually fly a drone. And I spent so much time getting my first setup in the air. And it was a hexacopter. It was a Blackout 290 hex. And it was built with a bunch of shitty Hobby King parts that did not work well together. So on my first drone, I had to learn how to flash the ESCs from Simon K to BL Heli. Not even BL Heli S or BL Heli 32, BL Heli. That was the creme de la creme of software for a moment, right? So like I started going through that. Rotor Geeks, David from Rotor Geeks, shout out. He helped me figure out how to actually flash my ESCs. And I wanted to buy his ESCs at the time because he had some amazing ESCs available at Rotor Geeks, and I was just so poor I could not afford them. But he was so kind in helping me figure out what the hell I need to do to make mine work. So huge ups to him. So yeah, I eventually got it working while I was in a hospital, and in a hospital bed, I was able to get it to hover test for the first time off the floor for more than an inch, because every time I'd hover test it, the ESCs would desync. And so it finally got working, and the nurses come running in, and they're like, what the hell is that sound? It sounds like a pack of drills going off in here. I'm like, it's the drone. I'm bored. I'm like, I'm doing this thing because otherwise I'm just in a really depressing hospital room. Like, what the fuck? So yeah, so that was the first time my hexacopter flew, and then that was the same machine that I practiced pretty consistently with for a couple months. And then the first ever AMA sanctioned FPV race in the United States was held in my hometown. And I went and raced in that, and I won that. And that's kind of how I got my initial like variety, I guess you could say, in FPV. That's how I got my initial hookup for sponsorships. Like that race and winning that race led me to getting my first multi-rotor superstore sponsorship. That led me to getting equipment needed to fly in other races. That winning that race allowed me to have something historic that I donated to the AMA's museum. So the first ever FPV drone is my drone in the AMA's museum, which is pretty cool.
That is awesome.
And that drone has so much fucking history behind it. Like that drone has so much history.
That is so awesome. You're actually changing history. That's what's so special about that.
Ah. I'm surprised by how hard that's hitting me. I just never really thought about how much I've been through with like that one machine.
Right. We
Fuck.
get so connected to our quadcopters. I'll never forget my first build. I never will, because the time and the dedication and the trial and fail and try and fail and try and fail is what builds you to keep going, because you know it's not only the drone that you're overcoming, it's yourself. You're pushing
Yeah.
yourself to keep going. Don't quit. Try it again. See if you can't get that worked out. Try this, do that. And when you finally see it take flight, and you know that you've put so much of your soul into that build, it's a feeling that you never forget, and it stays with you. I never forget my first build, and when I actually got to hover, keep in mind, my first build was way more futuristic than what you were working with. I had an F3. F3
Oh,
board.
Ace-32 straight from Time Cop in Japan. That thing was great.
It took me, I'd say it did take me about a month or two to get all the parts waiting from the overseas vendors, and learn everything and solder it all up and set it all up and learn the beta flight. And I was just so proud, because I know how much I put into it, and I knew that I didn't
Yeah.
quit. And I think that's probably a lot of what you're feeling, is that pride. You know, it's so much of a pride thing. You're proud of yourself. You're proud of your machine. You know?
Yeah, I'm proud that I got it to last through that race, because by the end of the race, and this is a funny detail, I had to super glue the entire nose of it back on, because I hit a gate in a previous heat and it tore off the entire carbon fiber front end because it was already damaged. And so by the time I won in that final heat, and this is the thing that blows my mind, I had literally super glued the entire thing back on with accelerator. And it's still in that super glued still. I need to go see that drone. I need to go visit it. I don't know how, but I gotta go see that damn thing. I miss it. Fuck.
And that's awesome that you can go there and see it right there on display anytime. That's
Yeah, if it's
awesome.
only not on the other side of the country.
Well, yeah, that part makes it a little bit more
But
challenging.
no, it's really cool. Like I feel
Yeah.
very honored that my machine that has that much pride in it is still in the museum and is being looked after through everything that I've been through.
And you
Because
know
like
where it
back then
is.
in
And you know where
FPV,
it
like
is.
yeah, like back then in FPV, like we didn't have like I don't know. I feel like drones now feel almost more disposable. Um, like in the sense that like there's so many parts, there's so many drone frames, there's so many frames that look similar. Like at one point in time, like it was really hard to get parts. Like it was hard to get parts during COVID and stuff, but like it was so hard back then to get parts. Like blackout frames would sell out, even the cloned frames would sell out. Um and so it was a constant hassle to just get anything flying. So it's just yeah, no, it's kind of funny. I thought a lot about that machine. I've thought a lot about the history behind it, but the first time that I really kind of especially now, like almost 10 years, 6, 8 years later, whatever, thought about it. And
Wow.
the amount of nostalgia and like, holy shit, how long ago that was. How much has happened in the hobby, like how bright the future looked then and where I thought we'd be now versus where we are now and what things are looking like. um, which is not to say the future of drones in the hobby is not bright. It's just a bumpy, a little bumpy. Um, and I think back then, like we had this whole view of like everything was going to be bright and shiny, and the sky is the limit. The regulations aren't going to be a big deal, and that people are going to be able to, push this hobby to a whole new level. The Dubai race was like $1 million in prize money that happened shortly after the race that I was in. DRL started up around the same time. You had DCL starting up. You had all this flurry of brand new activity to spring up around drone racing. You had the IDRA, the Dover race that I was in. They were trying to do team racing. And then there was all the infighting in the I would say infighting in the upper drone racing communities, because there's a lot of leagues that were fighting each other and kind of tore each other down. For example, the Dover race that I was in, one of the best experiences I had as a pilot, because I was a team race, one of the first times team racing was really a thing in FPV. And I was able to put together a co-ed team for that. It was 2 women, 2 men. I had a marijuana sponsored Platinum Vape, which was really fucking cool. It was the first time a marijuana sponsor had done anything in FPV, let alone at a race in Dover, Delaware, which was like huge, I thought.
Oh
And
yeah.
meanwhile, you had in behind the scenes, you had race organizer. In particular, I'm not going to name names because I don't want to create more drama around it. But you had one race organizer of one organization in the United States that's still around, contacted all of the sponsors of said group of IDRA's group and said, if you work with them, we will not work with you and we'll blacklist you from the industry going forward. And then IDRA's whole competition started falling apart. Same group had done the same thing to other groups too. And there's a lot of infighting and a lot of like stuff that happened in the belly of the beast that really made me kind of sad to see. And it's very early days, and to have all that kind of happen early days when everyone's still trying to figure out and build it, I feel like kind of made things stumble. It's like Drone Nationals had the same thing. You had people trying to get ahead of their sponsors like GoPro and stuff and trying to get them to pull out from the event. And eventually GoPro did, and Drone Worlds fell apart because there's no funding for anything. It was there's a lot of cattiness. And to see where I wanted to go and then to see where it went, because people were trying to fight for a small piece of the pie, and when everyone was trying to bake the pie still, it was very disheartening, and still kind of disheartening, because right now, from what I know, drone racing and from what I see hasn't really moved the needle forward much in the last like 6 years. Like it's still in the same place, if not gone back a little bit. Like there's not a lot of advancement. The sponsorships and the money coming into it really isn't there. DRL and DCL isn't getting the influx of money to really push things forward as much. You have a few outside groups that are trying to make inroads, but they also don't have the money to push the whole industry forward. And then at the end of the day, it really comes down to the industry is just not ready yet. Like any kind of other sport or thing like drone racing, like esports, you had to have an entire industry built up alongside it and get healthy for it to become a sport on the side. For example, we need the motorcycle manufacturers of drone sports. We need the car manufacturers of drone sports. We need these big effing companies, these multi-billion companies that are making drones eventually one day, to also be trying to put on racing teams and stuff like that. But like we're not there right now, and that point in time in history, and that point in time in history might not happen for another 10, 20 years. So like my whole schedule of like where I wanted drone racing to be today, back then, gone. Like that whole view of the future has been disintegrated and has died, unfortunately. It was a very bright and optimistic view of the future. And I'm still optimistic about the future. Do not get me wrong. I just feel like having seen everything that I've seen, having been in the shit, having seen the belly of the beast of multiple organizations, um, it's going to take a while. It's still going to take another 10, 20, maybe 30 years before drone racing and drone sports in particular becomes a solidified thing in its own.
I've always felt that
But that's okay.
I've always felt that while the 5 inch racing, I love it. I could watch it all day, but that's not everybody. And I feel like to bring more people to spectate, to enjoy it, to really get into it, I feel like the size would need to increase of the drone. Give it give people more visual to look at while it's racing around the course. And you're right, we're just not ready. We're not there. And I always wanted to turn on my TV and see drones on mainstream. We're just now starting to see some FPV in, fully featured movies. Where I was watching a video, I can't remember which video it was, but I was watching a movie, and sure enough, in the beginning of the video, the guy puts on a DJI FPV headset and he starts flying this drone. And I'm like, honey, look, FPV on the movie. And I thought that we would have seen this stuff so much earlier than how we're just now starting to see it kind of trickle in Hollywood. And
Trickle-in is a good word to use. Yeah,
yeah, it's
trickle-in,
like
I think, is
trickling
the
in. It's
appropriate
just
terminology
never
there.
really just kind of took off, and I always wanted to be able to see drone racing hit mainstream, just like, NASCAR or any other type of racing you would watch on TV. I really wanted to see it really take off and people just say, "Oh man, that's cool." Like, yeah, I'm for that. Let's get into that, but it just never seemed to hit the masses and have the effect that we wanted it to have.
Well, it's like a twofold thing. So, I guess I feel like I could talk to you a little bit about because I'm kind of passionate on. Um, and hopefully my audio is still coming through. I think
Yeah,
I'm having slight internet connectivity issues or
I can
something. I
hear
don't
you
know.
fine. I did see a little
Um,
bit of video stutter, but
okay.
looks like we're good now.
Okay. So as long as you can hear me, we're good.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, speaking to okay, so drone racing is inherently cool. The technological feat behind it is there. It's the will and the vision that right now I don't think are there. And by will and vision, I mean will of the sponsors and people with money to trust people with vision to implement a better version of drone racing. Because right now, DCL, I love DCL, and I'm pushing really hard in DCL. I'm actually practicing on a daily basis for DCL because I want to get back into drone racing, not because I want to be a big giant drone racing star and tons of money. No, because I fucking love racing. I love racing drones and I miss it. I miss it so fucking much. Um, and for me, I know right now it's not the spectacle that I want it to be. The industry is not where it's at. And, I'm not doing it because I see, a paycheck, and I'm doing it because I'm passionate and I want to get back into racing. And within that, though, like the industry needs to also have this vision of what does that 20-year mark look like? What does that 10-year mark look like? What is that future in the industry that they want to build look like? Because if you don't have that vision and or the game plan to get to that vision, no one's going to want to invest in that vision. And I really feel like, and I don't want to hit on any of the leagues here in the United States or any leagues in general, but I really feel like all of the leagues, except maybe Airspeeder and maybe DCL, trying to go bigger, even though I don't know if they have the funding slash the manpower to go bigger yet. Besides them, like I don't really see people pushing for that vision of the future, and it's really frustrating because I know in my heart of hearts, if I was given a few $1,000,000, I could build a machine that would travel at least 140 miles an hour with a person in it. and could carry the Mach 1, kind of racing speed feel that people are looking for. I know there's plenty of engineers and teams out there that could do the exact same thing. And it's just about the right people with the right vision in the right place at the right time with the right resources and the right money. And right now, that's not happening, and it frustrates me immensely. And I know there's people trying, like Airspeeder in particular. Like I love the Airspeeder group. I haven't, full disclosure, they're one group I don't really talk to at all. I don't have any kind of real interaction with. I have a teammate, May on High from Mach 1. She's one of the pilots right now in Airspeeder. Amazing pilot. I love Lexi. She is one of 4 pilots, and this is my frustration. Airspeeder has 4 pilots and 4 machines, and they're basically demo machines that aren't flying with people inside of them because they're not quite ready for it yet. And even without people inside of them, the machines are only traveling, pretty slow and lumbering. They don't have the X factor that the smaller quads do. They have the size factor, but they don't have that like X factor that the smaller ones do as far as their dynamicness and how they move. And that's the missing part. Not to say they can't get there. I 100% believe if Airspeeder was given the resources and time and development, they could get to where they want to go. And I believe other groups can do the same thing. And that's where I want to see it go. I want to see drones become bigger. I don't necessarily want to see people in them. Like, I love the concept of putting people in the drones, but I like the concept of not having people in the drones, because then we could just full send these things through crazy race courses and see absolutely spectacular crashes without anyone getting hurt. And still have most of the excitement of NASCAR without any of the, danger.
That's kind of what I saw when I first saw the Airspeeder and followed Lexi on her journey. That's what I said, okay, that's what's going to take this mainstream. I know it. And I had that light bulb went off. Man, if you put people inside of them, now you've got, actual pilots in them, just like you're racing Star Wars, land speeders over the, I said, okay, that would be interesting. That would be worth watching. That, I think, would fill stadiums. But like you said, it was far from ready. The pilots weren't in. They were not inside of the vehicle, and they're doing a lot of testing, like you said, for safety, which is totally understandable. The last thing you want is
100%.
Put this out in front of 1 million people and then something go wrong. That would just end it. So I totally get the safety factor. But like you said, I think if they can make them faster, more agile, and you don't have to have the pilot in it. You can still have the pilot set up. They can have their full gear on, headset, helmet, whatever. Have them look completely pilot, but flying FPV takes away all of the, well, not all, but most of the danger factor for a pilot inside. And then, like you said, they could work on making them faster, so it's more entertaining to watch. Completely agree.
Yeah, I know that's kind of where Airspeeder was going with it, or is going with it. And they've had some success, because I believe they are on some sports networks right now, as far as their broadcasting. So like, it's gonna get out to more people, but it's like early days. And like, to give concept of how early days, right now there's a company called Jetson. They have the Jetson 1. It's a $50,000 I guess you call it UAV, but it's not unmanned. It's an aerial vehicle. It has 8 rotors. It's a quad X, and you sit in it. It has a cage, much like a motorcycle cage, full roll cage, top speed of like 60, 70 miles per hour. And you fly around in it just like you're in a motorcycle. And right now they're starting to manufacture and go into full production, and they have reservations where anyone right now can go buy one and get yourself a reservation for a Jetson. But you're going to have to wait until like 2026 until it gets delivered, because of how you have and everything else that's going with it. So and then you have Blackfly, another company that's doing giant, I wouldn't say giant, but I don't know how the personal VTOLs, I guess, is the proper terminology. It's essentially like the Jetson, but it has wings and it's a hybrid model. So it takes off on its tail and then it shifts into forward flight and it goes forward, much like a hybrid plane multi-rotor. Both of these companies are producing and starting to sell these items, and they're both out of the Bay Area, weirdly enough. They're not super far from each other, if I remember correctly. And so these companies are now starting to produce these machines that the hobbyist, the average consumer without a pilot's license either, will be able to buy, own, and operate. And I'm thinking 5 years down the line, there's going to be some crazy motherfuckers that are going to try to make them go way faster than they should, and they're going to race them, and they're going to do crazy, sketchy shit with these machines that they were not intended for. And you know what? It's going to be cool.
Yeah.
And that is going to be the real start of the racing, because like racing in the United States, if you go back into car racing and the history of car racing, it wasn't like a league that was like, hey, let's start a league. Let's get these cars together. They're all going to be the same. They're all going to race the same. No. It was the motherfuckers that are whipping out their hoopties, cutting metal and steel out of the frames to reduce weight, adding performance parts to it to go faster, turning regular cars, regular off the street, everyday machines into these race cars to race with. And I think in my heart of hearts, it's going to be the same path with these other racing drones of human-sized ones. People will start getting the Jetson ones. People will start getting these Blackflies and other similar machines made by other companies. And they will start racing them. They will start modifying them. And they will start doing the things that people did 100 years ago to automobiles that created the racing scene that we have today. It's
So
just going to
basically, it's
take
gonna
that
start
whole evolutionary loop
underground.
to happen again.
It's basically going to start underground.
It has to, because
Yep.
every top-down approach right now to racing has failed largely. And I wouldn't say failed, but has not fully taken off. As far as like DRL is fully top down, DCL is fully top down, IDRA was more top down. There's a lot of these leagues are looking more top down. And racing traditionally has always been community bottom up. It's always boiled up to the point of where there was enough sustainability that leagues could coalesce around these standards, and then from there push racing to a wider audience. So in my opinion, that's the same thing that happened with mini quad racing. Mini quad racing became a thing in the community, and hobbyists started doing it in garages and parking garages and whatnot. Races became more formalized. Smaller races becoming more formalized led to DRL and other leagues trying to create the mini quad version of drone racing. And so it was this community effort that led to this league-driven effort that was based off of the community effort. So stuff like Airspeeder, I think, could 100% work given enough money, funding, vision, and dedication. But I think long-term, holistically, thinking about not just a company, but as a community and a concept going forward, you have to have like this grassroots movement. Thing you sit in, and drones you sit in and race the thing.
Absolutely. And I wanted to ask you kind of a weird hypothetical question that we were talking. And let's just say we live in a really weird world where for some reason you had to decide whether you were going to fly FPV freestyle or FPV racing, but you could only do one. You could only do one. What would it be for you? What would if you had to choose between racing or freestyle? Could you make a choice? That's a tough choice. Tough question. 'Cause I know you're passionate about both.
So my mind, I feel like I need to explain my thought process here versus just staring blankly into the camera on this one.
That's all right.
My
That's
mind goes. My mind
not
goes
a normal
to.
question, that's for sure.
No, it's a fun one because like if you give up free, because I like freestyle. Freestyle fills my heart with joy. when it comes to flying. I feel like freestyle is at the core of me. Um, but racing is something I'm extremely passionate about and fills me with a different kind of like passion. And I don't, honestly, I'd probably give up racing and stay with freestyle because I can go freestyle any park, but I can't go race any park least easily. Um,
Okay. That's a logical answer.
pragmatic, pragmatic.
Yeah. And I forgot to ask you one of the most important questions I always ask all my special guests. And a lot of people probably already know. But when you're flying FPV on the sticks, are you a pincher, a thumber, or a hybrid flyer? Thumber! Yes!
Yep, I'm a
Oh,
dirty thumber.
I'm a thumber as
I'm a dirty
well.
thumber.
So that's wow. That just inspired me that much more to stay thumbs.
Yeah, I've tried to go hybrid. I've tried doing pinching. I've tried doing hybrid. I can't. I
I
can't.
can't
I have
either.
tried.
I've tried. I've tried so many times. And I just, the thumbs is where it's at. The thumbs for me, I've always felt at home. It feels natural. It's just where I feel at home. So that's
Yeah,
good.
no, because I grew up
Good
like
stuff.
coming back from video games. I grew up playing video games, and for me, thumbing has always been a thing. So it feels weird to pinch the sticks, and I don't know. My thumbs are pretty built now. Like I've just pretty outrageous thumb muscles.
Yeah, it really does. It does build up your thumbs. That's for sure. Guys, what I'd like to do now, thank you so much for all the love and support tonight. We've been having some great conversation. So I apologize. I have not been in the chat as much as I maybe typically am, but we are having some amazing conversation and I want to keep it going. But real quick, I'm so appreciative for all you guys in the chat. I want to go ahead and do a US giveaway right now. Me and Zoe talked about this before the show. And if you are in the US, and you would like the opportunity to for a chance to win, um, you're going to want to hang around. If you're international, please don't go anywhere. I have something special we're going to do towards the later half of the stream for you as well. But if you guys in the US, dun, 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 I am going to be giving away from Zoe's website, brokenpropshop.com. Make sure you check out the website, guys. Brokenpropshop.com. Check out Zoe's website here. I'm going to be giving away one of her tie-dye shirts here. And you will get your option of whatever color you want and sizes from small up to 2X. And any colors that you want, you will have choice. Also, will get your size as well. So, if you guys would be interested in for a chance to win, let me get the hashtag ready. You guys are going to need to put in the hashtag here. And I apologize for my voice tonight, guys. Just getting over a little bit of, the nasty stuff going around. There seems to be plenty of it going around on the East Coast, that's for sure. I heard even poor Bot's sick, man. Her bot
Hmm.
was even sick the other day. I'm like, dang it, everybody's getting it. But hopefully that means that we're going to be having a fresh new year and feeling better and just getting it out of the way early, right?
Hopefully.
That's what I'm going to say. I am on the positive that I'm going to get this stuff out of the way so I can have a great rest of the year. All right, let me get the tool pulled up here, guys, and we'll get the hashtag ready. All right. All right. Let me get this ready here and let me share the screen and get your hashtags ready, guys, because here it comes. Here it comes. All right. You are going to want to type in this hashtag right here. Hashtag Zoe Rocks That's the
Wait, what
hashtag.
are Zoe rocks?
Huh?
What are Zoe rocks?
Like you rock. Like you're awesome.
I know, but if I had rocks, what would they look like?
Oh, like Zoe rocks? They be tie dye, of course. Yeah, right?
Oh, coming
Yeah,
soon
they
to
be.
the website, Zoe rocks.
There you go. See? They would be like tie dye rocks that you could like put out wherever. Right?
Oh my god.
You
I
could
kind
just
of want that. I kind of need it. Even if it's a joke on my website, I kind of feel like it has to happen now for some reason.
broken props and rocks, right?
Broken props and rocks, yeah, the thing that causes broken
Yeah.
props a lot of the times.
There you go. Get the hashtag in, guys. It is
But yeah, no, the Broken Prop Shop is my little like shop for those that don't know. I run it. It's me, it's all me. There's nothing in between me and you if you use it. Besides Squarespace. um,
yeah. I'm so
all the
excited to
merchandise
see
is
your
shipped.
website and
So yeah, all the merchandise. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to talk over you.
no,
Um,
I was so excited to see that you built up the website and we're going to go over it as well after we pick a winner. I wanted to kind of go through it a little bit more and show everything that you've kind of put into it. But let's talk about the website. How how um how has that been going? Is it going the way how you expected? And what's some exciting things you'd like to talk about?
One, I mean, it's been nice to have the shop open for people to be able to get like 3D propellers. They can buy my unicorn airframe that I use for 3D. You can buy fully built quads now on it. But realistically, the shop doesn't make much or if any real money for me at the end of the day. It is mostly there to provide stuff that people want for 3D. And with the low volume that I have running through right now, not making a lot of money, but I'm happy that I can do it. I'm happy I have the frames available. I'm happy I have the unicorns still available. I'm happy that I have 3 propellers for people to buy. And it has some merchandise. Like all the merchandise is drop shipped and made on demand, so it's slightly separately done than the drone parts. All the drone stuff I ship out by hand. Um, it's about a 2 to 3 day ship lead time, depending. So
Not
I'm
bad at
fast, but I'm
all.
not super fast. Like for what I do. Not like RDQ or whatever when it comes to
Yeah,
speed.
yeah. That's
But
not bad at all though, Zoe. I mean, two, three
I've
days,
been
that's not
yeah,
bad.
yeah, and I've been trying to pad people's packages. Like if you buy something and the shipping's expensive, and I see the shipping's expensive, I'll throw in some extra props and stuff just to try to like make things feel of a better value. Because I know shipping these days is ridiculously expensive for stuff, and it's yeah, yeah. So I've just it's been a nice side project, and I'm really happy that I've had it. I also know that while I am selling stuff, and outwardly it's like, cool, Zoe's making money. She's got the broken prop shop. That really doesn't support me. So, if you want
Well,
to support me, help me out on Patreon or buy a pre-built. Maybe the pre-builts definitely help out, but I haven't sold too many of those.
I was just going to tell Aaron here if I get selected as a win, I'm going to give it away to someone else for one. And for two, I will be purchasing two of these shirts, one for myself and one for the lucky winner. So I
Right
will
on.
be very proud and happy to rep Zoe FPV in my swag. That is for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep trying to make more swag. I figure fun swag is fun. I really like the way the t-shirt looks, and I like the hologram stickers that came out. I'm gonna try to release some non-traditional FPV swag. Like there's a dress design I'm working on, weirdly enough. I have not seen. I don't think I've seen anyone release an FPV dress design before, so that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Um, then there's just like some other like fun little odd weird merchandisey things I'm gonna drop out. I'm gonna try to put out a bunch of stuff this year. Um, a lot of it's just unicorn themed merchandise, not even directly FPV related, just ever so slightly.
Awesome. That's
Yeah,
amazing. And
that's sort of fun.
I do apologize, guys, because earlier I did get some support in here from my man Technique FPV. Thank you
Much
so
love
much.
technique.
Greatly appreciate the super chat, brother. Making it rain up in here.
Yeah,
you
Technique's
get
awesome. He's
get
helping
gonna get
me
crawled to
do
his feet.
Discord moderation stuff
I
for
really
my
appreciate
streams.
all the support. I really do. Thank you so much for the super chat back there. I
Check
didn't.
out his channel. Technique has so much flow that the entire water department in his city has to shut down every time he flies.
Ooh yeah, there it was. That was an awesome compliment right there. Absolutely. And if you guys could hit the like button, I greatly would appreciate it, and Zoe would as well. Before we go ahead and draw the winner, guys, if you haven't already, make sure you go down in the video description and check out Zoe FPV's YouTube channel. It's down there, linked in the video description. Make sure you're subscribed, and make sure you check out our other socials as well on Instagram. I believe you are on. Oh, what's the other one? You got to help me here. There's so many of them.
YouTube,
It's Twitter, YouTube, Twitter,
Instagram, YouTube.
Instagram, YouTube, the website,
Those are the big ones.
brokenpropshop.com.
BrokenPropShop.com. I mean, I did start a TikTok, but I don't want to ever touch TikTok again.
Yeah, TikTok is its own beast, isn't it? Hey, Vampire, thank you so much, brother. Greatly appreciate it. Can I borrow $2?
So good. So good. Oh, these props are fun. Oh, these props are fun. Thank you. Thank you. No, I don't need no TikTok anymore. Thank you very much.
It is a special kind of madness, isn't it? Oh man, thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it. Oh man, and my voice, I'm so sorry. My voice is so bad tonight. But we're gonna get through it. Yeah, make it rain. That's right, Windshield. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man. All right, guys, without further ado, let's go ahead and select us a winner. Good luck, everybody. Hey, congratulations to that guy, Grand.
Let's go.
Yo, Grand has got like, I got to take this kid to the casino. I'm telling you, this guy has got like the best luck I've ever seen. Congratulations, brother. Happy for you, man. And matter of fact, I could just get it shipped to my house and I'll just give it to you personally. Grand is one of my local awesome FPV homies right around the corner. So, yeah. He's like, what? What? I'm telling you, man, he's got the luck. I need to take this guy to the slots one time, man. We're going to clean the shop.
Oh, it's so funny.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
he's a cool dude. I like Grant a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm so glad to see him win, and that's awesome. All right, back to the stream here. All right, I wanted to talk to you as well about your 3D journey because yes, when I want to know like kind of when it clicked for you and what kind of made you kind of go into that genre of FPV because that is territory that really wasn't really looked into a whole lot back when you got into it. You were one of the only ones that I know of that even flew 3D FPV, and now you are the title of the queen of FPV 3D flying, and very much well deserved, by the way. So how did that journey kind of get started?
Um, let's see. So going back to my earlier story of how I got into FPV, after I gave my first drone out to the AMA Museum, my second drone that I built out for the 2015 Drone Nationals was a 2208 Cobra Zool smashed Zool frame. Like I did this custom build on it. It was really, really trick. I love this setup a lot. And on that, I was going to race, and I was like, I need the biggest, baddest quadcopter because I just went from a hexacopter, and my sponsor was like, Zoe, you don't have hexacopter frames. You're gonna have to fly a quad. So my brain was like, I want a quadcopter with big fucking motors. So I got the biggest motors I could get at the time, which was the 228s, way too fucking big, honestly. For at the time, way too big. Ironically, I run 2208s now on my quad, which whatever. Full circle on that one. So I run this quad, and I'm running it in racing, but I also think I'm in the freestyle competition and the racing competition for Drone Nationals, and they're two separate events held at the same time in the same event with the same course, but two different things. So you have your racing heats, then you have your freestyle heat, then you have racing heat. So knowing freestyle competitions were coming up, and freestyle competitions had never been done before at that point, I wanted to get in, and I got in. And I got in largely on my whole concept of being able to fly in 3D. And this at the time was super fucking gimmicky. Like absolutely gimmick central, worked horribly, would not recommend. I was an absolute fool for even trying to bring it to a competition back then. But I did. And because of that, it works great now. But back then it was horrible. And I got into it because, like, you see every other RC hobby, like RC planes, RC helis, any kind of flying, RC hobby, and it always ends in 3D. We have the ability of that extra dimension of flight. And with drones, you didn't really have that at the time. You had racing drones flying forward. You had, in my opinion, the foamies, the Yankin bankers of FPV, which was fine, and I'm okay with that. But I saw that 10 years from now, 10 years from now, it kind of makes me laugh thinking about that, because I thought about 10 years from now, this is going to be normalized. 8 years later, it's basically normalized almost. It took about 10 years, and I remember thinking it's gonna eventually, this is going to become a thing, and if I don't do it and push it, someone else is going to eventually push it. And I figured if I have the idea to do it now, might as well do it now and stick with it. So I ended up taking HQ props. I hot bladed them. So I took 2 knives and flattened out the props to make them symmetrical. I took the BL Heli ESCs. I knew how to flash ESCs. Well, I knew they had bidirectional mode, so I figured out how to use that. No one telling me any of this. I was just experimenting and stuff. And then the flight controllers, at the time, Clean Flight had a holdover for 3D mode, so I was able to get that working with Clean Flight, I believe. Or Base Flight. Can't remember if I was on Base Flight or Clean Flight by the time that 3D became a thing for me. And so I got all that working together, and there were no 3D propellers. 3D really wasn't a thing. And the only reason why the ESCs had bidirectional mode is because BL Heli was intentionally made for 3D helicopters, and sometimes you want to be able to reverse the motor on them for whatever reason. Even though they're collective pitch, it was a feature that they had built in. Most drone ESCs at the time didn't really have that as a feature that you could really use. And so I went down that path, and I broke a lot of stuff. I broke so much equipment trying to get 3D work, and I failed pretty miserably in the competition. I think I still placed like 5th, but for me that's failing because I didn't get the fucking podium. But I feel like I failed miserably in the competition. I did pretty shitty in racing for other reasons. Like I had radio issues. Several of my times weren't recorded, which pissed me off. We were using a really janky racing timing system at the time. Like half of the pilots didn't have their times recorded properly. So that was a huge frustration. But I was left with this whole thing of like, well, it kind of works. And I have industry support. Maybe I can get some 3D propellers made. Maybe I can, really develop out this thing. I didn't want to give up on it because, like, most people at the time saw me flying 3D as this weird, eclectic, niche-y, like, gimmicky thing. And honestly, it kind of was. But that's not what I saw what it could be. I saw what I wanted it to be and what I wanted it to become. And it had to start somewhere. And I was hoping others back then would see what I wanted it to be. And it's only until more recently that after getting 3D propellers made, getting, bidirectional soft, having, beta flight support, and the developers now working with me to make sure all the features, every single feature I've tested in beta flight 4.5 works with 3D mode. Every single feature I have tested in 4.5 works with 3D mode. I just want to say that because, oh my fucking god, it is kind of magical. To go from not having support to having full industry support, and also now having a preset for 3D being added to beta flight, so you can just click a couple buttons and have your drone configured for it. it's
Wow.
coming a long way. We have multiple 3D propellers now from multiple different companies. We have tons of great hardware support, and now we have great firmware support. So yeah, it took about 10 years for 3D to get to where I want it to be, but it's finally starting to get there. And I think because it's starting to get there, other people are starting to see that it's pretty good, and it's kind of worth the time to start getting into now. Whereas I think before it was a cool idea and there's a lot of people that would want to play around with it, but very few pilots would go through all the hassle of trying to find the right hardware and software and pit combinations to make things work. So yeah, no, that's how I got into it. That's why I got into it, and that's the short history of 3D and FPV.
Well, that's amazing, Zoe. I mean, you are a pioneer, in that technology. I mean, to listen to how you were making the props, flattening them out, and wow, that's such an amazing story. And I think 3D is just another awesome way for people to be able to showcase and just flourish in your creativity because it breaks your mind. It really does when you watch it. It literally breaks your mind, and you're like, wow, like I did not expect that to do that. And when it did that, it looked so awesome. So I would say to you guys out here, have you mastered FPV? Do you feel like you have reached the top of your FPV level? Do you think you just can't get any better? Well, if you're getting stagnant, try switching to 3D. Start all over. You might find
Well, and
yourself
so
falling all back in love with FPV all over again.
the beauty of it, though, and this is the thing I didn't know at the time with propellers, like I was doing shit to propellers I didn't need to do. I didn't realize that you could literally just take the corners, like your front and back, like your front left and your back right corner, just take the propellers, lift them up, flip them over, put them back down, enable 3D mode, you have symmetrical thrust. It's that simple.
Nice.
I wish I knew that sooner. I wish that it still doesn't make complete sense to me that it flies and works as good as it does, but it does. Um, so like there's that. There if and you can also put it on a switch. All of my quads I have 3D mode on a switch. So you have to actually physically enable 3D mode on all of my machines by default. By default, they just fly like a normal quad. If I hand you my thing and I say, here's my arm switch, you would not even know that's a 3D quad
Oh,
until I
wow.
say, arm the switch, now arm it. Then it's a 3D quad. So like any quad can really become a 3D setup, and you really don't have to sacrifice, an entire machine just to try 3D out. Like you can put it on a switch, flop a couple props, go try it out, be like, okay, cool, I'm done. Come back in, flop them back over, turn 3D mode off, and go rip it like normal. You don't have to choose one or the other. You can do both.
That makes it so much more convenient. And the easier that it gets for people to be able to set up their quadcopters to do this, I think we're going to see an influx of FPV pilots getting into this. I think so. The easier it gets, the more people are going to want to be like, let me try this out. Let me experiment with this. Like it's only a couple buttons, and I can have my quad flying 3D and give it a try. Plus, I know a lot of people can try it in the Sims now. That's an option to fly 3D in the Sims, right?
Yeah,
Which
yeah, yeah.
also will
So
help
the
with.
the big the big ones is Uncrashed is one of my current favorites. I love Luga Studios. I love Liftoff. But Uncrashed right now is like the best 3D sim that I've had the pleasure of testing and flying. I add a little bit of weight to the quad. I add a little bit of air grip. I add a little bit of friction to the air, and it feels almost like the real thing.
Nice.
Liftoff is really, really good. Liftoff has 3D mode. In both of the sims, you just push the A button, I think, 3 times on your keyboard to cycle through the different flight modes, and then you're in 3D mode. That's all you have to do. There's no setup or configuration changes. You just push a button on your keyboard and you're good to go. Um,
Easy peasy.
yeah, FPV Freerider as well. I don't know if many people use that anymore still, but it also has 3D mode.
I do
Um,
remember FPV Freerider. I actually had that on my old computer.
yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Liftoff for multiplayer and Uncrashed for it's
Yeah.
just feels good. It feels really, really
Yeah,
good.
once I got liftoff, I was like, FPV Freerider, I love you, but I like this better.
I think Freerider is one of, if not the only sims you can, one, get for free on your phone, and
Mm,
two, fly 3D with on your phone with a transmitter, which, if you're crazy enough to want to try to do that, that is an option, I believe.
that is pretty crazy. So let's go over to your website here,
Oh,
and I wanted to talk with you about some of the things that you got going on here. I love the little banner that scrolls across, really eye catching,
yeah,
and
so the featured builds. Yeah.
I love how you say each unicorn is hand built, tested, and flown by Zoe. Everyone is sold individually on a first come, first served basis. Now you were talking earlier about your shipping times and your lead times, and what were you saying? You said 2 to 3 days usually.
So for the custom builds on those, it depends on the type. If you go into the configurator for the pre-built, it's about 1 to 2 months or so, depending. Because
Okay,
each one I order all the parts in for custom, and right now, initially I was doing just DJI FPV setups, but now you can pick your combination of ELRS, analog, digital. What digital system do you want to use? Hell, do you just want to buy the quad without anything extra, and you just want the 3D performance hardware that flies really good? And you want to put your own receiver and VTX and camera on it? That's an option too.
very
Um,
nice.
yeah, so that one takes about 1 to 2 months to ship out. The frames I have in stock right now, they ship out within the week. Um, it's really just the custom builds that take time. At one point in time, I wanted to do batches of them, but realistically, I've come to the conclusion that they're one-off builds. Each one is made with love, and while I don't make a heck of a lot of money now based off of the new pricing, I make enough to make it worth my time and to hopefully produce a build that someone will love and cherish, and at a cost that's not too outlandishly out of scope with the rest of the market. Because I think right now the full cost with like an O3 is like 900 something dollars, just shy of like 900 or around 900. Um, the frames, Booster and chat asks, the frames are $109 right now currently. Um,
Okay, I mean for
yeah.
a premium carbon fiber frame that's going to be durable.
Yeah, no,
That's
they're
not a
made in
bad price.
America. The
Not a
frame
bad
is
price.
designed and made in America. There's no Chinesium in my product.
Mm-hmm. Very
Um,
nice.
but yeah, no,
I really love
I
the stick out here with the carbon,
so
how it
that's a fun
sticks
one.
out
That's
right there.
actually so there's a lot of fun design that goes into that. So that's both a unicorn horn, a snout for the unicorn, and a Z for Zoe.
That's perfect.
Um,
Really love
so
that.
yeah, it's very minimalistic frame. Like this frame is not designed to be an all-out bow share. It's not the tank from Rotor Riot. It's not going to be your demi bot. It's going to be a drone that's designed for high performance flying, for
Yeah.
longevity in the air. Like I can fly 6 minutes on a 1300 mAh 4S battery, just cruising around doing cinematics. If I want to do 3D, I have a highly capable machine. And as you can see from that photo right there, it's not just the weight on the airframes that I take into consideration, it's the drag. And when you're doing high performance maneuvers where you're going past like 60 miles per hour, which is very easy to do on a drone, to hit 0 to 60 does not take much. Once you hit that, there's an exponential increase in the amount of drag effect on the craft. So like for example, in the image on you that you have right now, there's no bottom plate. As you're flying, there's no bottom plate to catch the air to drag you down. There's nothing to really increasing the amount of drag. The top plate of the drone is 20 millimeter wide. It's very tiny, very thin. It's
I noticed that here in this photo here. Has a really
yeah,
nice open design on the bottom.
which makes it easier to work on too. Also
Yeah,
makes the cooling for your electronics a lot easier and better. And then
absolutely.
with the cage frame design, like I've yet to destroy a stack in that frame because the cage is entirely built around the strongest part of carbon fiber, which is on that edge. Um,
Right. Very
I
nice.
have dinged up some horns. I have broken one of the smaller side rails once, but It's a pretty solid frame. It's my personal mix of durability meets flyability, and it's
Now this
definitely more on the flyability end.
this strip on the top, is that kind of like a sticky pad right there?
Yeah, it's just a generic sticky pad.
Okay.
I don't ship with that because that adds another like 7 grams to the frame,
Okay.
and you don't really need it. It's more of a nice to have than a absolutely have to have. But if you do run the sticky pad, it's slightly recessed so it doesn't like stick out super far from the frame, and
I
it looks really
like that a
nice.
lot actually. It's super
Yeah,
clean looking. I
yeah. And right
like
now
that
I'm
it's
working
that it's
on.
flush with the two side plates. I love that.
Yeah, and the side plates are really thick, like as you can see. And the fun thing is that 12, the core of it, like where my hand is touching the frame at the center, the arms are 6 mil, and then the arms are sandwiched together with 3 millimeter plates. And then there's side rails that go around the arms at 12 millimeters. So the entire like core of the drone is 12 millimeters thick. It's very thick in all the right places, but not where you don't need it. You know, like again, no bottom plate. It's a very open frame design, very minimalistic amount of hardware. There's only 2 standoffs on the entire frame. The entire top section, there's no standoffs that hold it together. It's all friction fit. It's like a lot of things were done to reduce the hardware load and the hardware weight on
Now,
this design.
how do you think something like this would do in a racing environment? Because it does look decently lightweight. I mean, I know it's obviously not as light as some of the frames that are specifically designed for racing, but I mean, how do you think this would perform on the racetrack?
Good enough. I mean, I when I started doing actual racing versus just sim stuff again, I'm probably gonna race the unicorn because I can put 65-degree tilt on it without the GoPro and run it as a racing setup, no problem. And I prefer to run a battery top mounted for racing versus bottom mounted anyways. It just gives you.
Really? That's actually
Yeah.
surprising because I have talked to a decent amount of racing pilots over the years, and there was this big
There's a good
debate
reason for it.
over bottom mounted versus top mounted, and it looked like for a long time that the racing was going to go bottom mounted with the battery.
It's easier to keep a machine in motion if it's unstable than if it's completely stable and you're trying to get the extra little 10% out of it. Because it's kind of like you're pushing it around versus dragging it around. It's a little bit
Hmm.
different.
Okay.
And it just feels different too in corners. That's the big thing, is it just feels a little bit different going into the corners. And honestly, the difference is not that much when you're really talking about it. It's more of a feel thing. And because I fly with top mounted for freestyle and it's like my preferred flying, I want to keep it consistent going into racing.
That
Um,
makes way more sense. So the whole pendulum effect, is that just kind of like a placebo kind of thing?
No, no. When you're going around a corner, like when you're tossing the quad and the battery is bottom mounted, it will fling the
Hmm.
battery out. That momentum carry will flood, or not flood, but like flutter the drone out and kind of carry that
Okay.
momentum out with it. On the top mount, you still have that momentum carry. It's just now you're pushing against it differently. Instead of trying to drag it back to where you want to be, you're forcing it more into its home because it's I don't know. I might go bottom out at some point, but for me right now, I'm just gonna stick to the unicorn. I was thinking about redesigning it, but honestly, the rails add maybe 10 grams of weight compared to without rails. And if you take the rails off of it, it's just a pure X frame. Like there's nothing super freestyly about it. Like it's a racing frame with rails on it. So
Yeah.
um, I
I
figure that's
really
kind
like
of.
it. I love how
Thank you.
I like the unique look of it. I've not seen one that looks, even close to this as far as aesthetics. And I like that it's very functional as well. There's been a lot of thought put into the design of it. So I really, really like it.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I am very happy with it. If and when I do update the design, all the parts will be backwards compatible. Like the design to me is in a matured state. There's not much that I would really want to change about it. And like I don't see myself ever putting out a V2 of it. If anything, people should be looking out for a brand new 3-inch design that I'm working on because
Oh,
I need a sub
that's
250.
exciting.
I need a sub 250.
Yes, I did not ever think that I would love to fly any quadcopter as much as my 5 inch until I built my 3.5 inch. And I love it. It's so fun. It's quiet. I'm not worried about, the extra mass. I get, good flight times with it. And with the capabilities of the smaller, HD cameras now, you could get some footage that a lot of people would have no idea it wasn't a 5 inch.
Mm.
It's really awesome. The characteristics of the way the 3.5 feels with the power to weight ratio to me is the closest I've felt to a 5 inch feel. I've never felt that
Yeah.
with a 75 millimeter whoop. I've never had that experience with anything other than a 3 to 3.5 inch size.
Yeah, that's why I'm aiming for that 3 and 3.5 inch size, like sub 250, like just on the line kind of thing.
Yeah,
I want
absolutely.
it. I have the design in mind. I've been trying to slowly work on it. It's been more of a relearning how to use Fusion 360 issue than it is a inspiration issue at this point because between me designing the unicorn and now it's 4-ish years or so, and I really haven't done a lot of design work in the past 3 years. So like having to relearn certain things and just get back on the horse has been kind of difficult. Um, and the
Yeah.
sparkle design is going to be much like the unicorn, but unique in its own way. And if you see the unicorn frame, it's kind of hard to convey how difficult that frame design is. You have carbon fiber interacting in multiple ways. Those side rails are held on by friction. There's no hardware that holds them really in place. They just sit there because the carbon holds it there. It's like a puzzle, a jigsaw puzzle
Mm.
that just goes together into a frame. And because of that, it's generally really well supported and it's structurally sound. Um,
Huh.
I don't like designing slash putting out flat pack frames. And like most frame designs I've seen, it's flat plate, flat arms, flat top plate. You're done.
Yep.
Maybe a little cage plate up front. Maybe a cage plate. And it's the same frame design over and over and over again. And while it's a valid design and I have no problem with people doing it, it's not something I want to do. So anything that I release design wise, I want it to have some sort of X factor that makes it stand out from the pack. That's like, oh, there's some innovation and thought put into this, not just another frame design kind of thing. Um,
Absolutely. Now, I see here you have a scheduled coaching section
yes,
here. You want to talk a little bit about that?
yeah. So I started coaching recently. It was like an
Awesome.
automated process, but that was like a whole freaking headache. Now I just do it via email. Coaching and setup, like I know some people still need help setting up 3D on their quads. Like I've helped a couple cinema companies actually, consulted with them to try to get some of their cinema rigs running in 3D. One person in particular was trying to get a 3-inch Cinewoop running in 3D. That was kind of fun. But I also like to try to do coaching, and a part of that I also do like open coaching. I have Team Rainbow for DLC or DCL. And Team Rainbow is my like I guess flow team or the people I hang out with on the regular, and we compete in the DCL events. And then I'm on Mach 1, which is also competing in DCL on a different level, like the pro stuff.
And
Um,
congratulations on the Mach 1 as well.
yeah, thank you.
That's so
Yeah, that's really
exciting.
cool. Yeah,
I when I saw your announcement, I was like, yes, yes, Zoe's on the Mach 1.
yeah, no, it's
That
really
was
cool.
amazing to see that.
Yeah, it's a really neat group of women. Mako is amazing. She has brought so much to the team, and you have another 19 plus amazing women. There's like 20 plus women on this team, and I feel bad because I cannot name them all. And I feel like if I'm gonna name any more than Mako, it's gonna be the same 7 or 8 that I've named the last time I was on a podcast. So to all of my teammates, you're amazing. Go check out Mach 1's Instagram because every single one of these amazing women are listed on there. Um, and it's really cool. We have a team of international pilots from all over the world that are, pushing FPV in their own hometown, their own ways, from freestyle and racing. Um, and for me, coaching is something that I'm really passionate about. So I've done private coaching sessions. I also do coaching for my, again, DCL Team Rainbow. And pretty much like that's free. The coaching and the team for DCL is like more free and casual and fun. The coaching I'm offering via the website is much more structured and like you have a goal. I have a way to get you to that goal kind of thing.
That's
And so
that's
I'm,
that's fantastic.
yeah. So it's, that's funny. The first race I was in, all starts with passion.
Absolutely.
That was the first AMA race in Santa Cruz, Joe Next Data Conference. I forgot that
Wow.
video. It's very old.
Wow. And there's something else I wanted to ask you as well. Um, and I really do love the website, guys. Make sure you check out the website, brokenpropshop.com, and make sure you give it a look and check out what Zoe's got to offer on here. You're not going to want to miss out. You could even buy some of Zoe's broken props that she has flown. That's right, guys. I know
So
it's in here somewhere.
yeah, so if you go to the shop,
There we
there
go.
was a
Shop.
story behind the broken props. I don't just send you a broken prop. I send you more than just broken props.
Oh, so there you go.
I send you like with shipping. That broken prop is like $20. I send you over $20 worth of good propellers.
Oh, see? So just when you think you couldn't
Yeah,
get any better. That's so cool.
so the reason is I have a bunch of propellers I can't sell that were given to me by sponsors and stuff for giveaways essentially, and that's essentially my way of being able to do the giveaways without stepping on toes so much. Because I have so many propellers. I have bags and bags and bags of propellers. I have almost 30 pounds of fresh propellers.
Holy cow.
Um, yeah, so for me to be able to do that, it's just a way for me to get it through. Also, it's fun. There's some people that actually dig having one of my broken propellers, so why not?
Yeah. Why not? It's cool. It's different. I've not seen anybody offer this. So I think it's really neat.
Yeah, it was the first product I put on the site.
Hence the name, brokenpropshop.com. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for running us through that.
Yeah,
And
thanks for going through it.
oh yeah, anytime. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what it's like for you to try to make FPV into basically like your business, but also it's obviously your passion as well. Because that's a very difficult thing for a lot of people.
Do not ever make your passion into your business.
Right, right. And that's kind of where I wanted to go because I myself, I do it for fun. The channel does bring in some revenue, but what I like to do is I like to do the giveaways to kind of put the money back into the community so that I keep it fun. But I also have a full-time job, so it's different for me. Um, and I've tried to picture myself, what would it be like to make this into my career? So I'd like to ask you, how do you like having FPV as a career as well as your hobby?
It's difficult. So, oh god, this is probably one of the most loaded fucking questions. Holy shit.
Sorry, I
Okay, let's
kind of
no. I
just threw it
want to
on you.
dissect this one on a couple levels because one, going back to what I was saying earlier about the future of drone racing and the industry being so bright back then. Like when I won that race in Santa Cruz, the race organizer Scott Refslin pulled me to the side, pulled this broken girl to the side, someone that had more medical issues than I'm dealing with now, someone that had no opportunities in her life, and told this girl, hey, look, in 6 months from now, you're going to be able to do this full time as a job. That got me into this whole mindset of like, oh, I can do this thing I'm really good at, passionate about, and love as a job, and I can get paid to do this. Fuck yeah, let's go. And so that really, I wouldn't say that pushed me over the edge at the time, but like that solidified to me and gave me this like beacon of hope almost that I could like keep pushing towards. And then slowly over time, that hope and dream was slowly eroded and replaced by the reality that the drone racing industry really can't support me, let alone many other people in it. And those are very, 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 very depressing and slow descent into like, I don't know, just reality, knowing that like, yes, I wanted that to be the reality. I wanted to be able to make this a full-time thing, but it wasn't. And the same thing goes trying to figure out other ways to make it full-time, not just racing and making money off of racing, but like content or whatever. And I think there was at the time too this feeling like you could become a YouTube content creator and make some sort of things happen or have some brand deals or have some side gig work that, you know, keeps things coming, allows you to continually push and make content. And I had some semi success with that. At one point in time, I did have a sponsor Airviews that was paying me like $500 a month. You know, it was a little something scratch wise, plus all my other sponsors, you know. So for a small bit, like I was making enough to where I was covering my baseline expenses to do the thing, but not enough to live. And that was very frustrating because here you have this industry that was blowing up and trying to sell itself as this next big industry and this next big thing. Meanwhile, I'm getting what feels like peanuts and barely like not really able to live off of or do anything with. And it was just kind of like weird. I don't know, holding out for the future that things are going to click and that the industry will get to the point where it can support me and others. And I think it will get to that point again some point in the future, but it's going to take time. And it's going to take not just time, but a lot of people pushing for that future to happen. A lot of people with vision, maybe me and others, to put that vision out there for others to latch onto that vision to make that vision a reality. Because right now, I don't see a lot of people pushing a vision for a better future of drone sports. I don't see a lot of people talking about a potential positive tomorrow of what could be. It's mostly where we're at now and fuck the FAA and regulations. That's where the conversation goes. But I really think drone sports can still be this great bastion of the next generation of sports. It can be the thing that gets people into STEM and into recreational activities without putting their body on the line. It's the thing that is going to train the next generation of workers, because like drone work is going to become a huge industry and we're going to need a lot of skilled pilots in that industry, more so than what we currently have. And so drone sports again is another tool for that growth and that community to form and for that whole thing to take flight. So like I want a place in the industry for me to be desperately still. I don't know what it is yet. I think it's out there. It might be out there now and I don't know it. But I don't know what it is. And I know in the future it could be as simple as like, you know, say there's giant sport organizations that could be liaison to pilots. There could be a team, you know, in 20 years that needs a coach, that, you know, needs someone that helps wrangle pilots. Like I can see in the future in an industry where things are more built out and developed, a place for me in it. Still trying to figure that out for the meantime, and still been trying to figure it out for the last 8 years. And honestly, it's been the most frustrating thing to figure out because I want it so desperately bad.
I think one of the hardest things that I've experienced with being a content creator and trying to push your content is, you're selling yourself as a brand, yourself. And I think honestly, you are one awesome self. So I think people will believe in you and they will put their money where their mouth is. So keep pushing that Patreon. Keep pushing you, because there's one thing that brands can do, right? They can give and they can also take back. They can stop, right? But if you've got an active group of followers that believe in you, that believe in your goal and your mission, you sell yourself, Zoe, because I'm telling you, those people will put the money where it needs to go in your Patreon to fund your journey and your mission. I feel like that is one of the best ways you can turn your passion into a reality for making it your full-time gig. You need to sell yourself and your dreams. And the only way you're going to do that is by pushing your patron, pushing your dream, pushing your vision to as many people as you can and just get it out there. And I guarantee you, they will come. They will come.
I can hope. I,
No,
I
you
feel
have
like
great
I'm
dreams
getting.
and aspirations.
I think I do.
You do.
I believe in them too. It's just a matter of, I don't know. I'm in this weird phase of my life where I'm still rebuilding. Like I'm, let's see, 97 pounds down in less than 5 months.
That's
And
fantastic.
yeah, I've got
Wow.
another 95-ish that I want to lose. Um,
Wow.
yeah. So
You must
and that's
feel a
part of,
lot better.
yeah, for the most part, yes. Yeah, no, I'm still in a mad diet and still very intensive as far as like the physical intensity of it. But like, yeah, I am feeling a lot better. And I feel like I look a lot better too. Like I see myself on camera now. I'm like, oh, okay, I've not looked that good in many years as far as physically and just weight wise, everything else. I look a lot healthier. Um, but like a part of the whole finding my place in the industry is finding a place that works with my body because my health issues and my pain issues have kept me from living a fairly normal life. Like I have to constantly weigh everything against nerve flare and things that could cause nerve flare. And for me, losing weight is one of the things I can do to help alleviate some of that and hopefully allow me to do more. If there's less weight, there's less nerve pain. Diet wise, I'm on keto, which is very helpful for, nerve pain.
Yeah.
There's things I'm doing, and I'm hoping in 4 months, my goal is June, July, my weight loss goal, and I'm well on my way. Like, I think if I keep this pace that I've been going at, I'll hit it way before then. But if I hit it by July, my goal is to hit my goal weight, push double hard as far as both getting physically better, getting physically healthier, and as far as trying to find work. Because I think at that point in time, I'll be able to travel a lot easier. And a lot of the jobs I want to work on require travel, whether it's agricultural work here in the area that I live. I'd still have to travel potentially an hour or two or more to different job sites to fly the drones to get the data for the companies that I want to work for. And the same thing goes for any cinematic stuff. I'm going to do cinematography. I need to be able to be on set for an extended period of time. I need to be able to travel out to wherever the thing is that they are to be able to film what it is they need filmed. And so a lot of these things that I want to do, I feel are stuck on my health, and I'm working really hard to get my health into a better spot. So if I'm hoping I can find an opportunity that works before them because I'm very hard up for money. Like I'm living on a couple $100 a month kind of thing, it is very difficult. But my hope and goal is that within a few months, I'll get to a point where more opportunities will be available to me. And if I don't have something soon, hopefully then, stuff will start lining up.
Yeah, and health is so important. I mean, oh my gosh, when I don't feel good, like nothing else matters. It's and I hate that because I'm so passionate about so many different things. But when my health is not good, it's just nothing else matters. And I hate that feeling.
Well, it's just the chronic pain for me, and this is like because I deal with chronic pain and pudendal neuralgia, especially, is like my brand of it. And if you look it up, essentially, pudendal neuralgia, the shame nerve, it's not a very pleasant experience to deal
Mm.
with this thing. And within that, it's this thing that like wears you down over time. Like chronic pain is this. I keep telling people, I've told a couple people this, it's like having a nightmare. Being in pain is like having a nightmare, acute pain. You have it, it scares you a little bit, it just screws with you a little bit, but you wake up from it and the next day and you move on. Chronic pain is like having a reoccurring nightmare. It's constantly there, it's always there. When you go to bed, you know you're going to have this nightmare and you're going to wake up to the same experience.
Mm.
And over, 8-10 years, it starts to wear you down, and it really does a number on you mentally. So for me, I have been trying to figure out this, because chronic pain, for a lot of people, there is no cure. The cure is for you to learn how to live with it and to learn how to find the things you can do that work within your life to live a full life. And that's kind of my goal, is like, what does that look like?
I
I'm here to find
injured
out this year.
my sciatic nerve in my back a couple years back. I was being stupid at work, and I tried to pick up too much weight, and I ended up pinching that nerve in my back, and I fell right to the floor. It felt like someone just stabbed me with a knife right in my back. I've never felt the amount of pain that I felt from that. Um, and for months, I I was not able to alleviate the pain. It didn't matter if I sat down, if I stood up, if I laid down. Nothing I did would make the pain go away. And finally, I was told go to a chiropractor and see what they could do for you. So I started going there, and they worked on me for about a good 6 months. I was there probably three to four times a week. They worked on me and got it to be manageable now. But it's just I can't imagine dealing with something and you just never know when it's going to come back. I mean, that's you have to be incredibly resilient and strong to be able to handle something like that, because you're right. It felt like a nightmare. It felt like, oh my God, I've done something that I can't undo. I felt like I've done something to myself that I can't undo. How am I going to be able to live the rest of my life with this? And to this day, if I don't go every couple weeks to go get my adjustment, my leg will go numb down to my knee, and it's just something I have to deal with. Like I've injured that, and I can't, without having to go through evasive surgery and all that. I just have to live with it, and it's things like that you're just like, man, as a really it really shows character, and it shows how strong you really have to be to push through things like that.
I've had my moments of weakness for sure.
And no
But yeah,
comparison to what
no.
you have. I just wanted to share my experience with pain.
No, no, yeah, no.
No,
It's
no,
just
no comparison
it's
whatsoever,
rough.
because I'm sure yours is way
It's
more
different. It's hard to
advanced.
compare people's pains and struggles, because
Yeah,
everyone's struggle with pain is very much unique. Like even people that have the exact same thing can uniquely struggle with it in different ways. And that's
yeah,
like I think one of the hardest parts about like chronic pain is that it's very easy to feel alone, even when other people experience it. No, you're even if you have friends and support, it can feel very isolating because it's a unique experience that you can't fully describe all the nuances of to people, and it's not something that should be compared. Like each person's pain and issues are like unique unto their own.
absolutely.
um and it's what, like I don't know. I just want to learn to live with it, and I'm doing my best. Like the weight loss, the health changes. Like this next month, I'm changing up my stack drastically to try to even further improve my health, adding in more vitamins, more things that hopefully give my body the ability to heal more scar tissue. Just stuff that my body needs as far as healing goes that
Yeah.
maybe I didn't get. Um,
Have you ever reached out or spoken with others that have similar type
A
pain?
couple, not there's not too much nor too many people that I've met with pudendal neuralgia, and because it's of the nature of the nerve pain, there's a lot of shame around it, because
Really?
it deals with your genitals, it deals with your butt, it deals with between your legs, it deals with your lower regions. A lot
I
of people
see.
don't even openly talk about it. It's one of the reasons why I haven't mentioned it largely in the past.
I
And while I
see.
do have back pain, a lot of people associate my issues with back pain. I have degenerative discs. It is an issue, but my main problem that pops up that catches me by surprise and puts me out for days at a time is pudendal neuralgia. And that's its own thing. And there's not a lot of pelvic pain clinics in the United States. Not a lot of people that, or doctors even, that even want to deal with pelvic pain, let alone the fallout of it or how to recommend people to go places to deal with it. It's
That's kind of a
like
shame because I figured, maybe if people that maybe shared, some similarities with the types of pain, if there was like a support group for those people, they could actually talk and kind of say, well, hey, this worked for me. Maybe you could try this to kind of help manage to get through it, something to where people could help people with similar scenarios. You know
I
what I'm
mean,
saying?
I've early on I was in a couple different pain support groups, but I never met anybody that was going through remotely what I was going through pain wise. Like most people deal with back pain, upper shoulder pain, neck pain, lower back pain, or leg pain. Those are like the primaries, and I didn't meet a single other person at the time dealing with pudendal nerve pain, which is sad to me. But yeah, no, I've cause like I went through the whole mindfulness stress based reduction or mindfulness based stress reduction course, MBSR and SBR. It's essentially mindfulness based meditations to help reduce your stress. I've been through tons of physical therapies, tons of mental therapies for it, multiple support groups, and there's not a lot of people that deal with that. And there's definitely pain support groups, and I've been a part of a couple of them, but for example, on Facebook, there's one pain management support group I was in, and it really just boiled down to people being frustrated by their doctors, frustrated by their options, and frustrated by life. And it turned into they're largely just echo chambers of defeat.
Yeah.
And it was really depressing because I don't want defeat. I want to quote unquote win. Like I know there's a lot of defeat in chronic pain, but like the goal of it should be to get through and make the things work that can work and find that semblance of normalcy. And there's actually a really good movie on this I watched recently called Cake. And I know this is an FPV podcast, and I can see the viewers dwindling as we talk about this, but whatever.
It's fine.
Um, but if you want to see a movie on chronic pain slash you dealing with chronic pain, you want to feel validated, go watch Cake. It was with Jennifer Aniston. It's such an amazing movie, very heart touching, very triggering on some aspects, but very validating in others. And if you have someone with chronic pain in your life and you want to know more about what they're going through, go watch that movie.
Yeah, and I think honestly, FPV itself can help with pain. Even if it's only temporary, it can help with drug abuse. I've seen people get off of drugs with the use of FPV. People that have chronic pain have gotten into FPV, and it has given some relief as well. Because it truly is an out of body experience.
Well, it's
It's
like
so
going back to the flow
immersive that you
state.
you you literally like you feel like you left your body and you were inside of this robot, and your body, you don't even really care, know what's going on. Something that's that immersive. I've played video games and I've gotten really into video games as well, but never did it really kind of hit that next level for me that FPV does as far as how out of body I feel when I put the goggles on.
Yeah, no, that's 100% it. I think that's one of the biggest things that drew me to it was the one, it got me to get out of my house and get out of my like little box that I was in, and then two, it got me out into the world like in a way where I didn't have to have physical limitations so much. And to my brain, putting the goggles on was just as good as actually flying. And as someone that rode motorcycles, it was the next best thing to riding a motorcycle. And anyone that rides motorcycles will fucking tell you it's therapy. It is a whole experience that gets your brain. You can be in the worst mood, get on a motorcycle, and either ride the shit out of that motorcycle and ride your feelings out and do something semi-dangerous. But by the end of it, you're probably gonna feel better. And you're gonna get all
Yeah.
this emotions worked out, and you're gonna get back into this flow state, back into the world around you. And by the time you get off the bike, you're a whole different person. Same kind of feeling. By the time I take the goggles off and I'm done with my battery, I have elevated myself to a different mental level. And FPV really is that thing that can do that. And that's why I'm still so passionate about it and why I still love it so much. And especially after taking a break for as long as I did and coming back to it, there's this version of Zoe before pain, Zoe after pain. Zoe after pain, no FPV and FPV. Life is so much better with FPV. It makes things so much easier to deal with. And before this stream, I flew a couple packs, and that was enough to wake me up and get the cobwebs out and get my mind focused on other things versus my body. And
The
it's
dopamine is real. The
yeah.
dopamine is so real. The adrenaline rush that you get. Hey, welcome in. I saw a couple people hop in. I want to say hi to Tammy Jean. Hello. Dan, what's up? I fix shit. Good to see you, brother. And Johnny DRC, welcome. I see Johnny says, for 3 to 5 minutes of flight, he is not stuck in his wheelchair. And that right there
Much love,
is just
Nani. Much love,
the
Nani.
magic of FPV. It takes you out of your body. It takes you away from your current body experience, where you're at. It's a release for your mind. Your mind gets a break because now you're focusing on flying. You're not thinking about other things at the time. You're just focusing on flying. And for me,
Well, so
the
like,
mental health aspect has been phenomenal for me because a lot of people might not know because it is easy to put up a face all the time, but I do struggle with mental health. I struggle with the depression and anxiety, and when I put the goggles on and I fly, I just feel that peace that no other no other hobby has given me, honestly. I've not been able to find that peace other than when I fly FPV. It really is amazing. It's almost like a medicine. And that's why it's it's so sad and aggravating that the FAA wants to make it so difficult for us when we're just trying to release, to escape. You know, it's silly to me the amount of regulations that want to get put on this hobby and make it such a burden when this hobby it takes away so much burden. Why add burden to it? No one's been killed with a
it's
drone.
because the intelligence community wants to be able to track drones in the airspace because they're scared about people flying them where they shouldn't be. That's
They
it.
should
That's
be more
literally it
concerned
comes
about
down
the
to.
iPhones in their own pockets.
I know, but it's literally spooks in certain communities and certain government institutions talking to the FAA and being like, "Look, we need this to be able to track drones so we can tell bad actors from good actors." I think it's literally as simple as that, because the FAA director themselves has gone on record stating that that is what the case was. That was not something that came internally. And a lot of the early communications about remote ID specifically state how the FBI is going to be in the loop, how all these agencies are going to be able to collaborate together to track these drones and track operators in the airspace. So it's not about the FAA trying to create these rules and regulations. It's about people legitimately scared about the possibility of what these drones could be used for, because that is their job, is to be scared about what these things could be used for, about what anything could be used for. I mean, I've met people, this is going real talk, that within certain circles would classify drones in the same classability as, and this is within the FBI, as the same classability of weapon warfare as nukes, just for their potential to create, extreme devastation. Now, whether a hobbyist and a normal person will be able to get their hand on a nuke, not going to happen. But the fact that they classify the technology in the same kind of realm of possibility and or damage potential is like its own thing. You know, in the future, 50 years from now, wars being entirely fought via drone is a real possibility. So like there's where we're at now, which is these early humble days where drones are at, and there's the real possibility of where drones could be going. And again, I'm going to go back to, because I've met some of these motherfuckers. It is the spooks in the industry that are worried about that potential future and how they curb that future and curb potential bad from happening 20, 30 years from now versus now. And it's really unfortunate that we have the remote ID system being put in place that we do, because it's completely ineffective, in my opinion, from a technical standpoint, from a legal standpoint, and from just a hassle standpoint. It's also ineffective from an intelligence community standpoint, because all those motherfuckers that want to be able to track all these drones are now having to use a system that doesn't really work and actually makes their job harder to tell who's being a good person, who's being a bad person, because it doesn't fucking work. So like, it frustrates me on a deep level to the point of where I'm hoping there's some sense to be had, but when you have a revolving door of employment at the FAA of people making decisions, and you have revolving doors of people pushing policies, it's really hard to get anything that actually makes sense done and into the world. And that's what really scares me.
What really aggravates me is the fact that, you know, we just want to make one blanket to cover, you know, all UAV aircraft, and it just doesn't work because there's so many different classes of UAV now. You know, FPV should be its own category with its own set of regulations that has nothing to do with a DJI camera GPS drone that you buy at Best Buy. They're two completely different models that do completely different capabilities. They shouldn't be classified as the same when it comes to the regulations. You know, I think that we should have a ceiling for FPV. We don't want to be up high. We want to be down low where our environment is.
Most of the time.
Yeah, like why could we not have a ceiling and say, okay, if you're going to fly over, you know, 250, 300 foot, then you're going to need remote ID. Okay, great. If you're going to fly under that, then you don't need to worry about it. Done. That would create such, I think, would make more sense. Because if you're going to take a drone and do bad things with it, you're going to want something that's going to go far. You're going to want something that has GPS lock, right? You're not going to go take an acro drone and go fly it miles away to go do. No, it makes no sense. You're going to want to take something that's got the capability, right? Okay, I get it. Totally. Have the remote ID for those types of drones. Absolutely. Yeah. But for us who want to just fly down low, whether we're in racing or we're doing our freestyle and we're wanting to just basically skate the air, right? Because that's what it is.
Yeah.
We're not skateboarding. We're skating the air. We're doing our tricks in the air now, but not very high.
100 feet, generally within 100 feet. Yeah.
Just give us low altitude, you know, ceiling.
Yeah, delivery drones in particular shouldn't be below 100 feet unless they're actually making a delivery drop. Yeah. And hobbyists, I'm 100% sure if they saw a delivery drone in the air, the last thing they want to do is cause an accident that's going to get them in trouble. It's like, it's just common sense stuff. But the thing is, common sense doesn't exist because the reality of that future hasn't become fully realized yet. You know, we haven't seen what that's going to really look like. So everyone's just kind of guessing what that's going to be and the rules we need to deal with it. And it's really unfortunate because other countries have lesser issues. And because of that, I honestly think other countries are going to overtake the United States when it comes to STEM and research and development of UAVs. And it's going to largely fall onto the fact that rules and regulations make it harder for hobbyists to get into it. And because of that, it's harder for new engineers to become inspired to create the next generation of technologies for tomorrow. And it's like one thing feeds the other. So I still have hope, though. I have hope that the FAA will redo some of the remote ID regulations over time. add some exemptions, and that largely people realize it's all just BS and continue enjoying the airspace safely like we've done for over 100 plus years.
Yeah, and all it's going to take is one delivery drone to have a collision with a bird or whatever, and that thing comes falling out of the sky, and somebody gets hurt or possibly, heaven forbid, killed, and it hits national news. Delivery drones are over. That's all it's going to take. One incident, and it's over. And I fear that if that happens, it's going to trickle down and it's going to be, okay, all drones now. And that's the thing. It can't be all drones now. It has to be different categories. You know, you don't register a 3/4 ton pickup for the same price as you do a 4-door sedan. It's different categories, right? Different classifications. Should be the same thing with our drones. Different rules and regulations for different types of UAVs. Not, oh, let's make this quick and easy and get this done. Blanket, everything. Go.
Well, that's the thing, and I will say though, with the current rules and regulations that have been put forth, or rather, the current operating authority that Congress has given FAA, the FAA has the ability to do that if they want. They could create new rules and regulations more on a whim now, versus before it would have to be mandated and pushed through Congress. And I will say these are all civil. The FAA has the ability to create civil rules and regulations. None of them are criminal. If you break the law, they're not going to be able to throw you in jail unless you like break a different law that is also a criminal law, aka you reckless endangerment, you hurt somebody, you do something that is also associated with that. But the FAA themselves are not going to be the hammer, so to speak. And so because of that, they should be, and I think some of them are, and this is the thing, if there's anyone from the FAA listening, I love you, first and foremost. I'm sorry, second. And third, please, for the love of God, work with us and listen to the complaints of the pilots, because we want to continue in the airspace, and there's a lot of people with a lot of passion that will push things forward if given the opportunity. Hire some pilots, reach out to more people. All of the FAA, I know there's several different advisory boards. Y'all need to, I don't know, talk a little bit more, rile yourselves up a little bit more, get some more outside opinions, because right now the echo chamber has led to an absolute disaster of remote ID on a technical level. And it should, and honestly, anybody that is related to it going through with the way it's currently formed should be absolutely ashamed of its current technical implementation. The fact that they're forcing the industry to implement such an absolute substandard technical implementation of remote ID that will only have to be changed later to another technical standard that will actually work, which is my frustration. So if you're at the FAA,
the FPV Freedom Coalition should have a bigger voice in the room, and they don't. And that's what kills me, because the FPV Freedom Coalition has worked very hard to try and work with the FAA to say, look, this is how it really is. This is what's really going on. You may think that it's going on, but this is what's really going on. This is from real pilots, real people who fly and know the hobby, know what we're doing out here. And they try to explain it, and they just don't have a big enough voice in the room.
No, they're one voice out of many, and I feel like the FAA has them at the table to say we have them at the table. That's literally it. And because of that, it's controlled opposition, which I do not appreciate at all. And it's something that frustrates me on a deep level, because it's good that we're at the table talking to the FAA, but almost everything the FPV Freedom Coalition has pushed forth for the FAA to take into consideration has been pushed back on. And if anything, the FAA has more expected the Freedom Coalition to exert its will on the community versus the community exerting its will on the FAA. And that is a very delicate balance that's very hard to maintain. And I understand that balance, because I was much more of the rabble rouser. I was like, look, we have to push for things that make sense. but there's those within the Freedom Coalition that take a much more I want to say balanced approach, much more balanced approach, I guess. And I think they've almost been pushed over essentially because of it. And instead of fighting for what they believe in and standing up for that, they offer suggestions just to get ignored. And I feel like that is really, it's really sad, because the only times the community actually has gotten anything done has been when we've riled together and we have literally pushed for change. Back when there was the opportunity for the Reauthorization Act changing the definition of all aircraft, we pushed back with the AMA, and as a community, both regular modelers and FPV and drone enthusiasts got together to say, wait a minute, we don't want these rules and regulations. And
Not the
then
way they're
somehow,
written. Not the way they're written. No.
and then we had a protest to further solidify the fact that we didn't want rules and regulations. And then right after that protest, you know what happened? Gerrymandering. One of the most fucked up things I've seen. They pushed in the new rules and regulations with the Sports Authorization Act of 2018, or Sports Medical Authorization Act of 2018. So all these FAA rules and regulations were in a sports medicine bill, hidden away to be
Hidden
voted
away.
on.
That would never
And
even get looked at.
And so from there, everything we fought for, everything that the community pushed for, was completely thrown out the fucking window, because some assholes in Washington, D.C. thought, oh, we can't push against the community, but what we can do is just completely fucking ignore them and go behind their back. And that's what they did. And it is absolutely disgusting what happened, and the fact that the community largely just took it the way it did. And I think a lot of people didn't even realize it happened the way it happened. And so then that happened, and the response was, well, the FAA has all the authority now, so we can't push Congress to push them. We're going to just push against the FAA and work with them. And so now we have what I feel is controlled opposition, where you have, the FPV Freedom Coalition is backed by the same group that is also commercial interest in Red Cat / group by Red Cat, which I don't have an issue with, but I'm just saying, like, they have commercial interests as well, in that they are not necessarily pure community based. And because of that, they want to work with the FAA versus push against the FAA, or push the FAA to do things for the community. And I think that creates a dangerous balance that's really hard to maintain. I'm not saying it's a bad thing either. I think, business and community are two things that are always going to be like together on some level. But it's just frustrating, because we have the AMA, we have regular drone pilots, we have the FPV Freedom Coalition, there's a couple other smaller groups, but there's not enough of a community effort to solidify the real issues that we're facing and solidify action behind them to push everyone behind to get something done about it.
And I curse anybody who tries to make it to where they want to monetize our flight. They want to make us pay every time we want to take off and enjoy our hobby. I curse anybody that wants to do that. Greed is what will lead to that. Greediness. And you will be met with opposition. Because I am not
think it's going to go that way.
I am not going to swipe my debit card every time I arm my quadcopter to go fly. Not going to happen. Not going to happen.
I'm hoping it's not the case, but I mean, we kind of already do. Each battery life, each time we fly, our batteries die a little bit inside. But yeah.
That's the problem. The greed is what leads to a lot of these things. The greediness.
Well, it's just, there's a huge swath of hobbyists that outnumber the commercial operators, and everyone that's making regulations besides like the Freedom Coalition and the AMA, to my knowledge, are speaking to the industry side of things as they affect the hobby side of things. And so it's really frustrating, because the two voices we have in the room, I feel, are largely neutered and not listened to. And both of those voices are focused on trying to work with the FAA versus pushing for the things that they know are needed, because they know that there are only two voices in the room and they have to get the rest of the voices to hear them and agree with it, which is, again, a really, really hard position to be in. And to the FPV Freedom Coalition, everyone that's actively working on it, much props to you. It's a very fine balance to walk. And hopefully you listened to what I said and you didn't get too upset with the whole controlled opposition thing. But it's a real feeling of like, the coalition and the pilots, we need to be on this one side, because the FAA is just doing whatever the fuck the FAA wants to do based off of what they're being told behind the scenes. And we have to take kind of control into our own hands a little bit. We have to push back on the things that matter. And I'm hoping that happens. Because, like, honestly, right now,
when you're passionate about something as much as we are, you're going to fight for it. And we're going to fight for it. Because we're passionate about it and we love it. And we don't want to see it infringed upon to the point of it's becoming a burden now. It's becoming a financial burden. It's becoming a technical burden. Because if, in order for me to comply, I have to do things that aren't even technically making sense or working properly. And it's costing too much money to do. I'm going to lighten it up a little bit. Great conversation, though. I'm loving this. I would like to continue our conversation as we take a look at some of your guys' community standouts. Zoe and I are going to watch your guys' clips that you've posted over on the Discord server. Links in the description. And make sure you check out Zoe's Discord server as well, so you can stay tuned with what she's got going on in her community. And I'll get this pulled up here so we can watch the community standout portion. All right. You're going to like this first one. I know you will. I picked it because I just knew it would speak to you. All right. I'll get this pulled up here in just a second. Real quick, guys, if you're still hanging in there, I greatly appreciate all your support tonight. Make sure you check down in the video description. Make sure you check out Zoe's channel and give her a subscription as well. Help show some support. Awesome, phenomenal pilot with a lot of passion, guys. A lot of passion. She loves this hobby. And I wouldn't not be where I am today without Zoe. So Zoe is my inspiration. And she should be yours as well. All right. Here we go with Off-Axis FPV.
Off-Axis, let's go. I'll be on his stream later this month.
Learning 3D mode here. Here we go.
Also appropriate, no GoPro while you're learning to fly 3D. You don't want to destroy your shit.
Yeah, straight raw analog. Nostalgia. I love it.
I'm kind of curious what rig he's running.
It must feel so different. I really want to try it. I'm going to try it now.
I think the big issue is for a lot of people, you're used to running with tilt now. And so flying without tilt, you're just hovering in spot. So you kind of have to rethink the way you fly a little bit. I think that's more of a problem than anything.
Liking the music too, man. Really liking it.
I like the music. The music's vibe.
I love it. You know what it reminds me of? The old Bloodhound Gang.
Oh yeah.
It's got the Bloodhound Gang vibes, right?
No, I will say he's doing a good job of picking a nice open field to fly 3D in.
Yeah.
It's very disorienting. Oh god, there's so much water. Oh god, there's so much water. There's so much water. Why?
He's brave.
Oh, no.
He's brave. And he's in the chat. Make sure you check him out Off-Axis. Make sure you check him out.
I'm scared. I just noticed all the water.
I know, me too. I'm like, wow. He's really pushing it.
You almost want to be over the pavement more. Canadian conformal coded.
Wow. I love to see, like, when people start out, it just brings you back to, like, you know, when you first started flying acro and stuff like that. It's just so cool just to see how everybody just kind of progresses.
One of the easiest tricks to do when you're starting the 3D like this, I call it the look back or the extended look back. You get forward momentum going right upright, and then you do a 180 backflip to where you're upside down looking backwards, and you carry your momentum forward. So you're looking upside down, going backwards essentially. And it's a very simple 3D maneuver to do.
Nice.
But it's visually extremely impressive and very easy to accomplish.
All right. One of the hardest things that I've found flying 3D mode is just really having the precision on your sticks. So far, I haven't had any help, really. I've been kind of trying to figure it out myself before I ask for help. Because I didn't think it would be too extreme, but it is actually a little bit difficult to actually really get that stick movement in the right spot so that when you do change stick positions, you don't have to go almost full throttle. And if you see my DVR here, posted right here, I'm actually going almost like 80% throttle just to get this thing to actually fly properly and get it off the ground. But just now, I think one of my props came off because I went to try and take off again, and it literally just barrel rolled down into the ground. Looking at it right now, the props are totally fine. So I don't know what happened and why it did that.
Desync
But
maybe?
I know I have been using 3D mode pretty hardcore here. Maybe some testing, black box, I mean, some calibration. Maybe something just needs to happen here. But this is the Gank Mutiny frame. I'm basically using this as my test frame to get used to flying 3D a little bit, and hopefully with a GoPro mount later on there, I can actually film some stuff without just DVR. But right now, I didn't want to wreck my only GoPro, which
I feel that.
GoPro Hero 10.
No, it's 100% thing.
Let's put another battery on. Let's try it again.
All right. He said his second day was much better, so.
Yeah, I'm curious what his setup was. I remember, he was having problems initially with some of his configuration settings.
So like you said, maybe a possible desync?
Maybe? I can't remember. I've seen a lot of people's 3D problems.
I'm sure you hear a lot of.
I think he was using 14, 15. He was using something that could cause potential desync. I think he changed it and it started working better, but I could be wrong. I have a hard time remembering the exact specifics. But it looks pretty clean.
It honestly looks. I mean, if he hadn't said this was his first 3D flight, I never would have guessed it.
And the machine seems to be behaving pretty well too. Like you can see that the prop transitions are fairly smooth.
Okay, he changed some of his deadband settings.
Talk about with my hypersmooth footage, like, oh yeah, hypersmooth's just getting rid of all the judders and stuff. Like, sometimes it does judder, but most of the time it's fucking smooth now. It's mostly a non-issue. If anything, it's just your piloting ability, getting comfortable with switching your throttle ranges, finding your mid-throttle on both sides, finding that point where you can like dive and still maintain attitude. Like there's a lot to your throttle response you have to get used to when you're flying 3D.
Okay.
That's this is kind of like what my first batteries looked like when I was flying 3D. And God, please, let's not watch those videos. They're really bad.
Oh, I'm sure it was great. You'll love to look back on those and say, man, look how far I've come, right?
Sure, let's go with that.
I go watch like my first FPV videos and I'm like, holy crap, was I new.
Yeah, no, I've definitely done that recently, and especially the 3D ones. There's one called Gate Practice, where I'm just flying around one gate in particular. At the time, and still kind of is, not that bad. But now, like my new version of Gate Practice, just so much more mind-bending than I could have ever conceived back then.
I really love how he has the FPV World little logo at the top was moving with the quad, depending on how it
Oh, that's
flipped and
cool.
stuff. That was really neat.
I didn't even notice that. It's insane.
That was super cool, man. Well, thank you so much, Off Axis, for sharing that. He's in the chat, so make sure you check him out. Make sure you give him a sub as well. Really awesome. I really love the unique way that it was moving with the quad. That was pretty cool, man. A little logo there, really nice.
That was dope. Very, very cool. Yeah, no, I'm stoked to see that he's getting into it. And I'm actually really stoked for his live stream at the end of the month. He's going to have me, Luke Flies Good, Kid FPV, and I think a couple other 3D pilots. I think Flexo 3D is going to be.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It's going to be like a hodgepodge of some of the best 3D pilots I know currently hanging out on a stream. And that should be a lot of fun. I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm kind of pissed off I didn't think about doing it on my own channel sooner.
Yeah, that is a really great idea.
Yeah, so that should be a lot of fun. So that one is, I think, on the 30th? Is it on a Tuesday? Yeah, it's on a Tuesday, the 30th. It should be
okay.
pretty good.
Make sure you mark your calendars, guys. All right, next up we got 4FPV in the house. Flying high since 2021. Awesome, man. Oh, I love it. I love the nostalgia of the analog. I do. I love it. I flew analog yesterday at an RC drift track at my little 65 millimeter whoop. And man, it just felt so cool to be back on analog after flying the HD0. It was kind of neat just to go back and be like, oh yeah, this is analog. All right. It's cool.
Yeah, I repaired my Taranis just so I could fly analog again. And I still have not flown analog again.
I don't think I'll ever never not fly analog ever again. Like I'm always gonna have something in my arsenal with analog, always.
Yeah, I just wish I could get a micro version of DJI's transmission system to fit on a whoop. Then I'd be happy.
You and about probably 90% of the FPV community.
Like, what the fuck, DJI?
I guess it's just not enough beans.
There's a lot of beans in micro drones. There's a lot of beans in whoops. Like they are like one of the biggest markets currently in FPV. And
I'm sure it's like spiked way past 5-inch and the larger stuff now with the regs.
3 times the size of the 5-inch market easily. Like like if you combine 3-inch and 5-inch and 2.5-inch, the whoop market is probably bigger than all those fucking combined. And meanwhile, we don't have a good digital DJI option for it.
Makes no sense.
Whatever. I'm not being paid to do their market research. That they can figure that out themselves.
Yeah. Maybe one day. I know a lot of people have been decasing things, but then you void your warranty
get down
and all
to
that.
20 grams, but like 20 grams on a whoop is just so much weight.
Yeah, it is a lot. I love the 65 millimeter size for the indoor RC drift chasing. It's the perfect scale, I felt. I was able to get in tight next to the RC drift cars on track. Felt like I had plenty of room to maneuver around. Didn't feel like I was too large in the indoor space.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's a huge one, is making sure you don't feel too big in the indoor space when you're flying around something like that. Like even a Cinewhoop is going to feel really big on a lot of RC tracks.
Oh, yeah. I thought about bringing my Cinelog 25, and I said, no, I think it's just going to feel too big in that small space, and I'm not going to have that maneuverability that I had with that 65 size with the Whoop.
Yeah, I know. It's I do miss Whoops. That's one thing I've not flown since I've really gotten back into FPV. I've been testing out the Syzygy Stargazer, which is kind of Whoop size, but even then, that's like a 2-inch brushless build. It's not the same.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I miss it. I honestly want to get back into whoops, but I don't have the money, nor do I want to start hitting up sponsors to send me whoop stuff. So
Yeah,
I don't. It's not something I want to ask for. But if anyone wants to send me a whoop thing, I'll try it. But if not,
there you go.
I'm okay staying where I'm at.
I think my next goal is to um, I've got a 65 millimeter analog whoop. Now I want to get a 65 millimeter HD zero whoop, and then I'll be set. The HD zero I think will be clean enough chasing the drift cars indoors to get some really good usable footage for sure.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's
Um,
a good size.
that was a 4 FPV. Thank you so much for sharing 4 FPV. I
No,
will
that's cool.
yeah, I'll make sure I link his hit the like button and link his video so you guys can check out the full video here in the live chat. There we go. 4 FPV in the live chat now. Yeah, Flexo. Oh yeah, Flexo's in the house. What's up, Flexo?
Flexo, your flying is fucking magical.
Looking forward to the
You rip
30th.
3D. You're in like the Mount Rushmore of current day 3D FPV pilots, in my opinion. Like your shit's fucking fire. I can't wait for the 30th. It's gonna be fun.
Ah, heck yeah. I have to mark that on my calendar as well. So I stop in and check you guys out. Um, all right. Well, while I get the next one pulled up, I kind of wanted to talk to you, Zoe, about um, any exciting things coming up that you would care to talk about if you can. Anything um, look forward to on your channel, stuff like that. Maybe future goals for your channel because your channel is doing really well. It's really doing
It's
well.
I mean, it's doing okay. I've honestly, I lost some subscribers this past month, like a huge chunk of them, and I don't know why. My content and everything else, number-wise, seems to be doing okay, and I'm just very, very confused. And I don't know if it's like YouTube deleting a bunch of accounts because they deleted a bunch of like Google accounts recently that were not used within the last 5 years. So I don't know if I saw a ding from that, but it's been kind of rough on the social media front as far as stuff goes. But at the same time, I've been doing a live stream, and that's been really good every week, and it's been pulling okay numbers. I've been really happy with what it's been doing, and I've had a lot
Nice.
of fun doing that every week. I haven't posted a lot of new YouTube content as far as full-length videos. Been doing more shorts. I've been posting a little bit to Instagram. Realistically, I've been focusing a lot more on flying and training and like DCL sim practice and stuff versus making content. And I want to make more content, but right now it's like midwinter. I don't have transportation really, and I'm still waiting for things in the area to get a little bit greener before I start exploring and flying some spots that I couldn't fly during the summer safely. So I'm hoping to post more footage to my YouTube proper soon. As far as like announcements go, I don't. Oh my god! I just signed a sponsor on Saturday. That
Well, congratulations, Zoe. That's awesome.
well, it's
Heck yeah.
not a money sponsor, but it's a non-drone sponsor. It's my first non-drone sponsorship, and it's.
Nice.
You say that now. I feel like you're gonna rewatch this conversation when the
Uh-oh.
video drops, and you're gonna be like, "Oh, ha 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 ha." But
Uh-oh,
nothing.
non-drone, huh? Now you really got my brain going. Non-drone.
Non-drone. It's RC related, remote control related,
Okay.
motor related, ESC related. It does not drive on the ground. It does not fly. It does not work underwater. It does not work in space.
Oh, man, that really limits it, doesn't it? Robots?
But I mean, not quite. I guess in some ways, maybe you're not quite wrong, but you're not right either. Anyways, it's a thing that when I announce it, I'm pretty sure some people in the community will be like, "Holy fucking shit, that's awesome!" Most people's reactions, I think, are gonna be like, "Holy fucking shit!" And
Is it
it's gonna be
like a really big, like a lot of people would know? Like what it is?
So far, everyone I've talked to in FPV knows who this company is and is very surprised by the fact I was able to get them to sponsor me. Um,
Nice.
it's as the guy Grant says, Zoe, you're gonna blow up with it. Possibly. They have this brand is very big. They have like 3.5 million average viewers a month, and it's
wow.
let's just say you talk a lot about my image. You talk a lot about how I've inspired people. Well, this is the most risque, most like edgy thing I've done, and it's yet honestly one of the more humble things I've done in the weird way. And it's the first time I've worked with a sponsor on a collab outside of FPV and drones, besides the Platinum Vape for the drone team I did for Dover, which is its own thing.
Wow.
So
this is huge. Oh my gosh. I can't wait for your announcement. Ah! I'm just like,
You mean-
I'm ready to bust at the seams.
just don't be just disappointed in me if you.
Well, I'm thinking, I'm like, motor ESC, but it doesn't fly, it doesn't go on the ground, and it doesn't vape? Vape?
No.
Vapes don't use they don't use
Motors.
ESCs though. Or,
No,
or
motors.
motors now. Oh man, I am really like, it's almost like a crazy riddle. Like
I know it is. It is. It's a great riddle. I love it. I love this riddle because eventually people will figure it out and be like,
somebody said vacuum. Tammy Jean said a vacuum.
okay, no, it's not a vacuum. It's 100% not a remote control vacuum. I can confirm.
But I think Flexo, I think she said it doesn't work underwater, right?
No, I said it's not like a water drone. It's not like a submarine or something.
Oh,
like that.
okay.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of companies doing like FPV underwater drones, which are cool and I want to do. There's a lake
Yeah.
nearby, but that's not what it is, and it's
Oh.
nothing related with that. I'm not gonna start because someone said 3D printers. It's not that either.
Oh man. Now I'm completely. We gotta wait for her official announcement, guys.
Yeah, I'm hoping by the end of the month / a couple weeks before Valentine's Day, I should be able to get the announcement out.
So make sure you're subscribed. Go down in the description. Make sure you click the bell icon for Zoe as well, so you get notified when she puts out that huge announcement. That's awesome. I can't wait. Oh, I'm
Me
so
too.
happy for you because you just deserve so much, Zoe.
It's gonna be funny. I will say this announcement is gonna be the funniest thing I've ever done in FPV, and I
that
hope
makes it
people
even
appreciate it.
That makes it even better. Spider Sugar up next on the community standouts. And I just want to see, I don't think there's a lot of people that want to see, but I personally want to see you just hit levels that you've never hit before, as far as your career and your goals and your admirations. I want to see everything come to fruition for you because you have worked so hard and you deserve it, Zoe. You are such an amazing and phenomenal inspiration to so many, myself included. And man, if I could go back to that day that I met you at Dover Downs, I would just look at you and say, thank you so much for being so nice to me and helping me get into this amazing hobby. Now let's go rip some packs right now.
Oh yeah.
If you ever come on the East Coast, you got to hit me up and we got to go rip some packs.
Hell yeah. No, I'm hoping 2024 might not have a lot of travel besides Castle Crash, but
Nice. Oh, you're gonna be at Castle Crash?
2025 has. I hell or high water. I want to go. Hell or
Same.
high water. I'm going to go. It's more of a matter of how I'm going to go and how that's going to look and get there. I want to take the RV, but the RV is $2,500 in gas round trip. Little
Yeah,
spicy.
that's a
A little
lot.
spicy. Flying there a lot cheaper, but not nearly as fun. So yeah, Castle Crash is one event I am looking forward to immensely, and I plan on going in full Castle Crash regalia. I will be dressed up in full costume. I am going to make sure it is the most fun I have ever had at an FPV event. And from what I've heard about other FPV events, it's the most fun other people have had too. So,
My goal
yeah,
is to go 2024 as well. So
right on.
we may be able to meet again
Hell yeah, let's
6
go.
years later at the Castle Crash. That would be awesome.
Yeah, no,
Heck yeah.
I'm excited for that. I really do hope there's more travel in store for me and more events. I really miss going to FPV events. It was one of the most fun things for me before COVID hit.
Oh yeah.
And since then, it's just been very lonely out here.
Yeah, nothing's better than getting together with a bunch of people that love the hobby just as much as you and have a great time ripping.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. And that's yeah, I'm looking forward to next year, or rather this year. It's no longer next year because it's 2024 now.
I know, I keep forgetting. We're already in the new year. Where I don't know where December went, but like in the blink of an eye, it was gone for me.
Where did the time go?
I don't know, but like Grant said, he's been trying to rip with me. I've been so busy. I sure have, man. Oh, working full time and then doing stuff with the family and then seeing family for the holidays. That definitely killed up some time as well. But I'm looking forward to getting out and doing some ripping again when the weather's not too bad. Really like this spot that Spider Sugar's ripping here with all the lights. I love it. I got to do a little bit of light flying myself with my 3.5 inch, and I took the little grinderino and went out there and flew a couple friends' houses that had some really nice Christmas light displays up. It was a lot of fun.
I do love the Christmas videos. I will say I'm kind of curious what the static is on there. If that's digital static, that's not analog, right?
Yeah, this is definitely HD0. And it looks
Okay.
like he's having a little bit of signal. If you
Yeah,
look
I'm
at the
seeing that
top,
signal in this corner.
yeah, the
Yeah.
top of his signal bars look pretty low, so he might be a good distance away, possibly. Not getting the best signal there. Looks like he's getting a little
That's
bit better
cool.
now. Yeah. But that's why I was saying, I think for me, with HD0 and a 65 millimeter whoop that I'm flying indoors at a RC drift track, literally, 10 feet away from myself, I think that the signal is going to be like crystal clear. There's not going to be probably hardly any breakup at all. So I'll really be able to take advantage of the extra pixels versus like at my analog setup.
No, for sure.
Have you ever tried HD0, Zoe?
The first iteration of it.
Oh,
Um,
yikes. Yeah,
yeah,
it was pretty rough.
that's been my whole experience with it, unfortunately, because I know it's a lot better now than what it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, I want to try it. Like, there's like I'd really like to test the newer systems, but like I don't have money to test anything. There's a bunch of equipment I'd love to test, especially like for 3D stuff, different ESCs, different motors, different hardware combinations.
Oh,
I
yeah.
ain't got the money for any of this shit, nor do I've got the motivation to start poking people. But yeah, like
Well,
the different HD systems, like I was very fortunate and lucky to get on the DJI FPV hype train when it came out, and when people were very much questioning whether or not digital was going to be viable for FPV. And digital is very much viable for FPV, and I think it's
oh, yeah.
become more of the commonplace now. And because now it's commonplace, I haven't had a chance to try any of these other systems. And it's kind of unfortunate because I would like to know how my old school DJI V2 goggles stack up against the newer kids on the block, and how much am I giving up to fly a Whoop in HD versus a 3-inch with DJI stuff, or am I giving anything up, or what's I don't know the trade-offs, and it feels really weird for someone that, at least when I left the hobby, I felt like I could talk about any one little part of it and be like, I know what's going on over here. I know this goggle is better than that goggle based on the specs. I know this system or like this firmware is better than this firmware. This firmware has this feature that makes it do something different than this one. Right now, I am so freaking dumb when it comes to the different HD and video systems. Like, I had to do research to figure out which ones I needed to add on my website to sell drones with, because I needed to like figure out what people are using. And it's like 3 different systems right now. We've got like the Walk Snail, the HD Zero system from Fat Shark, and then they have DJI's dual hybrid system with their first and second gen.
So I think honestly, Walk Snail is going to be the closest that you would get to putting DJI into a Whoop, basically, as far as how the image quality is going to look, how it's going to perform. Now, a lot of people will tell you that Walk Snail is not as good as DJI when it comes to range penetration, and all that. But if you like DJI and the way it behaves, then Walk Snail would be a great option because they actually make the smaller Whoop boards that you could put into smaller quadcopters.
So that's why people are doing Walk Snail then versus the HD Zero. Okay. That kind of makes sense.
The HD Zero still is a very good option for the smaller Whoops and stuff. And of course you get the lower latency, but you're gonna lose some of that image quality because of the way HD Zero breaks up with the rainbow sparkle effect versus Walk Snail and DJI. You just get the pixel, blur a little bit.
Right.
So, but I think Walk Snail, the thing that's great about Walk Snail is they've got the onboard DVR where you can record the DVR. So even if you're getting a little bit of pixelation, your DVR is going to be crystal clear, right? I hope that HD Zero does this one day. And when they do, I think it's going to be a big game change for them. HD Zero needs, not once, HD Zero needs to have onboard DVR recording before the loss. That way you could take off your HD camera and you could just use the DVR to share without having any of the pixel loss.
Yeah, no, that's a big thing. That's one of the reasons why I like the O3. And I'm so thankful. Allie, Kit, thank you so goddamn much. I've been meaning to get an O3 to design around. I finally have an O3. And having a camera that has HD recording plus your HD transmission signal built into it, like that onboardness is sexy. Like being able to build a drone that you don't have to have a separate HD camera on, that has just one really nice sensor and uses that one really nice sensor to do what it needs to do. That is perfection. So yeah, no, I 100%. I feel like that needs to be in any system these days, just onboard DVR. That should just be a thing.
Especially for your smaller stuff, because I'm not going to put an HD camera on my 65 millimeter Whoop. So I'm counting on my DVR to be the best it possibly can be to use that footage. So yes, HD Zero, please go ahead and put that. Well, they're probably working on it, but I would love to see HD Zero come out with the onboard DVR recording, and I would love to see them send Zoe some HD Zero to test out. So if you're listening, Zoe FPV is definitely somebody you want trying your products.
Well, I know Fat Shark knows me. I used to be the Fat Shark sponsored pilot, and then I started working with Rotor Riot, and then Rotor Riot went full DJI. And then Rotor Riot, then Fat Shark became one, and now things are different. So I don't fucking know how their landscape is these days.
Oh my gosh, that was like a complete cluster. Like that whole thing was just so confusing.
No, I'm not talking about it. I don't touch drama. I've heard it's drama. I don't want to touch it. I love my Rotor Riot friends. I don't want to the industry is filled with drama. Any company that has been around as long as Rotor Riot and FPV is going to have some drama around it. And I think it's really cool though that Fat Shark and Rotor Riot though are together. It's a really good pairing. And without Fat Shark, like Fat Shark is like the Atari of FPV. Like without them, we wouldn't have what we currently have.
I know. I was
And
big fan of the Fat Shark goggles. I had for years, and huge fan of the Fat Shark goggles.
I'm still am like my HD2s are still amazing goggles for analog. Like I absolutely
Oh
love and
yeah,
adore them.
I
And
had
it's
the
like still to the same. I've had them for like 7 years.
the
um,
HD3s, and I love those goggles. Really, really, really was impressed with the HD3s.
and then I have another set of goggles. The Hisson G Stargazer came with a pair of Fat Shark goggles too, and it's like a box set, very high quality, very
Oh,
very nice.
nice.
Um, yeah, no, I'm glad to see Fat Shark is still in the game. I know it's really hard because I remember talking to Gregory French back when it's like 2015, 16, and talking about how digital is probably going to be the future, and what's that going to look like. Slash, is Fat Shark working on anything? And it's really hard for a company the size of Fat Shark to develop or be the first to market with a high end system for digital. And I'm glad it took DJI bringing something out to light a fire under the entire industry's ass, to not just get Fat Shark to put something out, but to also get Walk Snail to put something out. And now we actually have real competition in the market with multiple players competing and putting out competing systems for everyone to buy and purchase. And I think that's honestly how the market wins. Like we have to have those competitors to push things forward. Otherwise, you have stagnation. I think for a while there, DJI kind of had market control of digital. And Fat Shark was making inroads, especially on rigs where you couldn't easily carry a heavier transmitter. But then with Walk Snail, I've seen, and this is my own like quote unquote market research, they've definitely made a lot of big inroads, making I guess like progress in the fact that they're not DJI, even though one of the founders of Walk Snail worked for DJI. There's a lot of back and forth between the companies. Um, it's it's really neat that there is actual competition now, and I just hope that it continues on, and that Walk Snail has success, and that Fat Shark also has success, and that we continually have these three competitors pushing for better products, because that's the only way we as pilots are going to get better things, is if that exists, because otherwise there's just going to be the stagnation.
I've been
We won't get
saying
those
it.
DVRs.
Yeah, I've been saying it for a while now that I love that we have options now. Like, no matter what kind of a pilot you are, there's a system out here for you. If you are all about image quality and you want the best and the easiest user experience, then you're going to go DJI. If you're all about that low latency, you fly balls to the wall, and you're into racing, and you just love that fast style flow, and you want the lowest possible latency, you're going to go HD0. If you are a fan of DJI technology, but maybe not so much a fan of DJI as a company, right? Then you're going to want to check out Walk Snail, because you're going to get a similar type performing system in the way it behaves, in the way that it breaks up, and the way it performs. But you're actually going to be supporting a company who actually is listening to the community and is taking the feedback and is making the changes and giving you the products that you're asking for. Whereas DJI, they're going to give you an amazing product, but it's going to be the product that they make, not what you want, not what you say you want. They're going to give it to you, and they're going to say, here, take this. This is a Whopper with cheese. Enjoy.
And a lot
And
of
then,
times the Whopper cheese is delicious, but yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it's good that we have that market differentiation right now. And coming back to it, that makes me happy, because I could easily see this time and space and FPV companies hurtling up and there being less competition. So to see more of it is very almost heartwarming, I guess.
Oh,
Like
yeah. And it's a win-win for us, because with the competition becomes lower pricing, more competitive pricing, further innovation, companies pushing each other. Oh, well, did you see this company? They just put out this video receiver for this amount. well, then the other company is going to work even harder to try and top that. So it's a win-win for us. I love it. That versus like when I started and when you started, right? There was only one option when it came to FPV. It was analog or bust.
Well, the best thing with analog though is that you could, and someone Flexo 3D says, I would like to see open source digital become competitive for sure. Me too. The best thing about analog is the fact it is essentially open source. Anyone could make receivers and transmitters for those frequencies that would work with other receivers and transmitters. And it allowed, and this is, I think, one of my frustrations with digital right now, is with analog, it allowed you like more interoperability between different hardware to where you could have something from Foxeer and a VTX from Trappy and TBS, and then you could have your receiver from FR Sky. You know, it allowed you to build what you wanted, how you wanted, with the companies you wanted. And then you weren't really as locked into things because that transmitter could work with a different set of receivers. That camera would work with different transmitters. You weren't locked into that one thing. And so the one drawback, and I really hope this changes, and I hope there is some sort of open standard that happens with digital, because it has to happen, in my opinion, is that happens so we don't have these walled gardens. Because right now what's happening is you get sucked into a walled garden of one of these digital systems, and now you're stuck in this system. And if you change out of it, it's not just changing your goggles or changing one piece and moving up, and is now moving across. Now you have a whole bunch of other equipment that you have to deal with, or in some cases just start new, have a different set of goggles and transmitter for a different set of quads on different, standards. And that's frustrating because I just want one pair of goggles and one transmitter. I don't want a bunch of different transmitters. I don't want a bunch of different goggles. I just want one set of gear that I like and love, and works with everything.
Yeah, HD Zero, that actually was and is the ultimate goal, is for HD Zero to be picked up as open source. So the other companies will basically create the technology, the hardware, and then they can sell it under their brand. So as of right now, the only company that I know of that's actually done that is Foxeer. Foxeer has made HD Zero video transmitters, but it didn't get, I don't think the problem was, I don't think it had enough interest and enough sales to attract the larger companies like TBS, some of the analog.
Well, to my knowledge, HD Zero is using licensed technology from another company that Fat Shark does not own. So within that, there's licensing agreements that has to be met, and thus there's licensing fees that have to be paid. And I could be wrong, but I'm thinking it's more of a licensing issue versus a standards issue.
I think it changed when Carl Zhao, he actually stated that the goal that he wanted for HD Zero was for it to become open source. The only part of HD Zero that you have to purchase from Carl is the chipset. The chipset is the only thing that has to be purchased, but you could take the chipset and make hardware around it. Any company can do that. But I guess it's a little bit more in depth, I guess, than running with like analog open source, where you're designing, you're using your own chipsets, and whereas HD Zero, you have to kind of use the HD Zero chipset and design the board hardware around that. So it's not
It's
quite
more like the NVIDIA / the GPU manufacturer approach. Like you create the chip, you create the software and everything else around it, and you have the other hardware manufacturers try to develop it out.
Yes.
I think the thing is like there's a slight mismatch though with that concept, because the analog world, you didn't have to have that middleman in between. You could get anything that met spec to work with the thing you wanted to do. Versus now you have that middleman, and until there is no middleman, as much as there needs to be one right now, until there's no middleman between that thing, manufacturers are not going to adopt a standard. They're not going
Yeah.
to say, okay, this is going to be the thing we're going to stake our company on, because someone else controls it. And no other company is going to allow another market entity to control their line of production like them, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know they
Or at least
did.
very rarely.
I know recently they did open source the software. So the software has been released open source, and people have been, making their own mock-ups of the different software for HD0. But as far as I know, the actual chip is not open source, and I think that might be part of why it didn't take off like
No,
Carl
100%.
wanted it to.
And that's the thing, though, is like Carl deserves, payment for his work and dedication and contribution to things. And it's a really hard balance to find, like, especially as someone that's also trying to figure out, how do I make a profit off of my push into the industry? Because like everything I've done with 3D, I haven't made a fucking cent off of. It's always been pushed to other companies / pushing standards to the world at large. But that's also left me destitute. And it's also the point of like the cart before the horse kind of thing with some of these standards. Like it's hard to get the industry to adopt something that is controlled by one entity. It's the same reason why I think Trappy never had a bunch of people licensing Crossfire's protocol. It's because it's paying the toll to access this thing, whereas other companies could just roll their own without having to pay the toll. And now they control their own walled garden, and it's cheaper for them to do so. And now do you have another fucking walled garden to deal with, which is depressing, because we don't need more fucking walled gardens in FPV. It's getting kind of obscene, really. It's great that we have options, but they need to work together. We need to be able to fucking move from one to the other. You use this goggle with this transmission system, that camera with that goggle. Like,
yeah, it would be nice to live in a world where no matter what headset you picked up, you could lock into any video system that you wanted.
don't see why it can't happen. It's just a matter of developing the standard for it and the people, the community to do it. And I think it's almost there. It's just a matter
There's
of
an open
a little bit more
source
time.
HD project going on. I just haven't
OpenHD,
heard
I
much
believe,
about it as far as releasing or if there's any kind of release date in line and hardware for it.
And hardware is hard. It takes money to do hardware, and an open source project, and going back to it, generally doesn't have the money to invest into releasing proper hardware. And
I would
then
love to see TBS just put out hardware for an open
it.
source video system. Would love it. Would love to see that.
I dare you, Trappy. I don't think he has the cojones to do it.
I'm still running Crossfire today. I love the product. I really do. It works great, but
no, I love Crossfire too, and I love Team Black Sheep. They were one of my earliest sponsors, and I still love TBS. And I think honestly, TBS releasing an open source HD video transmitter would probably be one of the biggest rockstar moments Trappy could ever fucking do in modern FPV times if he was to do it.
That would definitely be like the bomb going off in the room.
And that would put TBS on the map so fucking hard and so fucking fast again, as far as HD video goes. Like, people would flock to that shit in droves.
That'd be a straight mic drop.
Come on, Trappy, drop the fucking mic. Let's see this shit.
Oh, that would be awesome, man. I've been hoping that we would see an open source HD system come from TBS. That would be awesome. Yeah, that would be the most unexpected
I can dream
move ever. Yeah.
It would be one of the biggest, badass moves. I mean, shit.
People will be thinking, like, okay, where's the punchline?
Punchline is TBS would sell a shit ton of product. They would sell a shit ton more Crossfire and a shit ton more cameras and a shit ton more frames. It would be a Genesis product that would almost be a loss leader for them, because it would they probably wouldn't make a whole bunch off of manufacturing and selling of the hardware, but just by doing so, the amount of publicity slash pull and effect that they would get would be huge.
Android goggles. That's what Windshield said. That's funny. Oh man. Well, guys, I have kept Zoe long enough to myself. I
Oh
would
God,
like to
3
go ahead
hours.
and switch over, if Zoe's okay with it, to doing the open Q&A segment. You down for some questions and answers?
Yeah, I'm down for some Q&A.
So, guys, have any questions for Zoe? Please let me know. Also, almost forgot. We have another international giveaway to do as well. So, do we have any international people in the house in the chat tonight? Because if we do, then I would like to give you guys an opportunity to win, one of you, a $25 flyhighfpv.com virtual gift card. Make sure you check out Good Dave over at flyhighfpv.com for the brightest LEDs in the biz. And yeah, $25 virtual gift card for any international viewers if you are in the house. Yeah, Canada. That's definitely international. So we got off axis. He said Canada should count. Yeah, it does. I count Canada as international.
Yeah, I mean it's still America, but I guess it's international.
As long as I had to ship it to you and it has to go through a customs form, I consider it international.
Fair, very fair, very very fair.
All right, we got Mark in the house, and we got off axis in the house. So that's 2 people. All right, so we have enough to go ahead and do a random picker. I'll do the hashtag. In the meantime, guys, if you have any questions for Zoe, myself, or the chat, please go ahead and put your questions down now. Yep, we've got Cage as well. Carbon Cage is international as well. Excellent. But go ahead and put your questions down in the live chat, and we will get to those while I get the StreamYard tool pulled up. All right. You probably already know what the hashtag is going to say. But if not, here it comes right now.
I still want to know what a Zoe Rock is. I think it's rainbow
Zoe
related
rocks.
and like, you know, got tie-dye on
Zoe
it.
rocks. Now you're going to have to put Zoe rocks on your website.
I like Get Lit. Let's go.
Hashtag get lit, guys, for the international giveaway. Make sure it's international only. We did the U.S. giveaway earlier. Congratulations to Grand for winning the Zoe FPV t-shirt. All right, off axis, we got you. Carbon Cage, we got you. Mark, we got you. So there's 3 entries. And anybody else international, speak now or you have to wait till my next giveaway. Oh, a Space Mouse, are you international?
I mean, I'm pretty
Excellent.
sure Kansas is international.
She's Kansas?
She
She said, whoops. No worries. If
I mean,
you
might
win,
as well be living in a different place, space.
no worries. If Space Mouse, if you win, we will just do a redraw. No worries. All right, good luck, everybody. Carbon Cage! Congratulations, brother. You have won the $25 Fly High FPV virtual gift card. Oh, yeah. Congratulations, brother. All you need to do is shoot me an email. I'll get that typed down in a live chat for you. Just shoot me an email, and I'll get that sent over to you this week. There we go. Email's right there. Awesome. All right. Back to the live Q&A now, guys. Let me change my banner back. Questions and answers are now open for Zoe, myself, and the chat. So if anybody has any questions, please get them in. Hey, what's up, B-Rad?
Do 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 do.
Yeah. I know you guys got some questions.
Do 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 do
Do, do, do.
do 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 do.
I know you
Well,
guys
in
got
that
some
case,
questions here. Did I do such a good job asking Zoe all the questions that you guys just have no questions
we
left?
did cover quite a lot. It's like 3 hours of intense chatting about all of the things. I mean, we covered more on this podcast than any other podcast I've been on, just because.
Man, we really did cover a lot, Zoe. I mean, we really did. Now that I look back on it, I'm like, holy crap, we talked about like so much. Like we unpacked a lot on this stream. And yeah, I just like I told you before the stream started, honestly, to me, this was one of my most anticipated live streams in my entire YouTube career, hobby, whatever you want to call it. To be able to have the person that inspired me, that actually got me into FPV on my show is just, that was like the puzzle pieces all aligned, and this was a dream come true for me.
Honestly, it's, as I was saying before, I think before the stream, I don't know how to take stuff like that. It's a lot to hear. It's very heartwarming though, and I'm glad that I could have helped get you to inspire others to get into FPV, because your channel's been blowing up, and it's really cool to see your audience and everything else here tonight. And like, yeah, fuck yeah, I inspired someone else that's inspiring other people. This is the way it's supposed to be. Like,
damn right. Hell
so
yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm to everyone else out there watching, go do the thing that you want to go do.
Yes.
Like, don't
definitely.
figure out a way to not let things stop you. And if something is stopping you, find the next thing you can do to remove that roadblock. Keep pushing, even if it's hard. Like, even if the only thing you can do every day is like get out of bed and get a glass of water. If that's the only thing you can do, fucking do it. And the next day, if that's all you can do, that's fucking good too. But eventually, maybe you can get out of bed and take a shower. So I've been there. There was a point in time where I could physically not fucking move or do anything for weeks at a time just a year ago. And it was both a combination of depression, physical issues, and my living state. And it's not a good place to be in. And there's a lot of people I know right now that are not in a lot of good places. Even people that are in a good place, quote unquote, in life are still struggling right now. There's a lot of struggle happening.
Absolutely. There's a lot of struggling out here.
Keep perspective, try to just push through. And the entire world has gone through a very crazy time, and I'm hoping that after the last major pandemic we had, the Black Plague, there was a renaissance after that led to the greatest time in human history. And I'm still hoping we still have a renaissance to have, and we're still in that awkward phase after a horrible, horrible time in human history that we're still kind of going through. So stick together. If you have friends, reach out to them, love each other. If you know someone in FPV that's struggling, like, poke them, let them know that you're there, especially this winter with everything being the way it is. Just, yeah, care for each other. We've got a long way to go.
Yeah, we need to build each other up, guys, not tear each other down. We need to be support for one another, and we need to be community, because that's what we need. We need each other, and we need to thrive together and not tear each other apart. Forevermore wants to know, Zoe, where was your favorite place that you have spoken at?
I haven't done a lot of public speaking beyond like podcasts and stuff. which is kind of a crime, I think. But as far as best places I've spoken at, honestly, the brief stint I was an instructor at Cabrillo College in Santa Cruz, California, when I got to be a instructor in the college I had to drop out from for my health issues. And I got to speak in front of a class and tell people about the history of FPV in person. Honestly, that for me was the best. I love teaching. I love that interaction. I wish teaching paid more slash was a more viable career option for me because I'd love to be able to do that full time. It was so much fun and it was so awesome to impart my passion onto others and then see my passion immediately felt and drive other people to be passionate about FPV and drones. So yeah, no, that's I'll say that, yeah. Speaking at a college I dropped out from on a regular basis. That's definitely the best.
I would love to see all of the schools have a FPV drone program where they show the kids how to build the drones, how to fly with the goggles inside, to show them how everything works. And I think that would be just an awesome way to familiarize people and not only familiarize, but so people aren't so scared of what they don't know. A lot of people are scared of drones because they don't understand them. If they understood them more, I feel like the fear would be less.
I think that's happening a little bit. So like we're going into that whole thing. We're in a weird time, like locally flying, where I've been flying, people in the city are very chill. People seem to know what drones are and know that it's not like a big bad thing, and they tend to not be very scared of them or afraid. But on the same note, there is a lot of fear right now, especially with the way things are happening overseas and with war and everything else. There's a lot of stuff entering into the public consciousness that we didn't really have to deal with even 5 years ago. And that is something we're going to have to combat. And it's not something I don't think we can combat because, and I don't want to use this as an example, but guns were a tool of warfare. They became something commonplace with hunting and regular life in most of society. And while they do cause issues in modern society, they're still accepted for practical hobby use. And I think drones are going to be the same kind of thing, unfortunately. There's going to be that element of edge. But unlike guns, most all drones you see in the United States, again, no one's died from a hobby drone in the United States since the inception of hobby drones in the US. You can't say the same for certain other hobbies. So I really think the public perception will hopefully be a little bit easier to deal with than, say, guns. And I use that as an example. It's the most extreme example I can think of as far as something that's dangerous that's publicly accepted. But it's always going to have that bit of controversy because drones have been used for warfare. They are going to be used for warfare. But conversely, any tool is going to be used for warfare. Warfare has spoons. Should we ban spoons because soldiers eat? Should we, what level of up in arms are people going to be about because one piece of technology is used in some ways in some parts of the world for a bad thing, whereas it could also be used for good? A drone here in the United States, you could use for agricultural use to plant trees. One drone could plant 100 trees in an hour, whereas a human could plant maybe 10 or 15 in the same amount of time span. You could use them for cloud seeding. You send a swarm of drones up to seed a cloud over crops in specifically smaller areas to increase moisture and rain production. You could do even crazy regular agricultural use, so just increasing yields of production on food. More food for the planet means more people eating, means less freaking, starvation.
Yeah.
There's so many ways drones can be used for positive and good that I think they're going to drown out all of the negative ways they're currently being used in warfare. And I really hope that people keep that perspective that any and all technologies can be used for bad. And it's when you shut off using those technologies because of potential bad that you are also shutting off all of the potential good they could do. And it's because of that I'm still very hopeful that the conversation around drones will be positive and that we'll still have stuff like drone racing that will show people a positive light outside of all this negativity and give drones a good name, essentially changing the general tonality of things. And that's another reason why I think drone sports are so important, is to, again, give that public face that drones are more than just weapons of warfare. Drones are more than just used for delivery and automation in industry, that they can be a sporting equipment, that they can actually reduce the amount of damage people put themselves through to compete. I mean, most athletes at a competitive level, like either a cyclist, a basketball player, a footballer, both either soccer or, American football, they're putting their body through so much torture, so much pain, so much hardship. And at the end of their playing career, they've effectively broken their bodies to do what they love. And now they're left with a broken body, not able to do what they love. And a lot of those athletes are left with this like almost secondary despair of like, okay, what do I do now? And that's why I think drone racing is so magical, is I really don't think it's going to be that same kind of thing. Like, I can see myself still being competitive in 20 years. I don't, pending my thumbs falling off for a really bad case of arthritis I can't figure out and work through. Drone racing is very viable for many people on many levels, more so than most other motorsports. And I'm not saying everybody can do it, because there's physical ailments that affect people beyond how I'm affected and many other people are affected. But on the whole, compared to everything else, it's pretty welcoming and opening for people to get into. And I really hope that it's continually pushed as that bastion of hope and ability, that, if you are broken, if you can't do normal racing, or can't do normal sports, or you can't be an athlete normally, that playing video games isn't your only option. You can get out and fly FPV. You can fly a tiny loop around your room instead of the race course. There's options that are more than just being stuck, quote unquote. And that has me excited. And because of that simple fact alone, I still think FPV has a hugely bright future. And I really hope that it is achieved, and other people see that future, and people with money see that future and want to see that future happen, because at the end of the day, it doesn't happen unless there's, a push behind it.
I love the fact that FPV, excuse me, gets you out of the house. It gets you to interact in your environment with nature. It's a way to merge this awesome technology, video game like, and your environment in nature. I love mixing the two together, and it just gets me out. It gets me to feel adventure that I normally wouldn't get to experience, just staying in my house playing a video game. It's just not the same. No comparison whatsoever. And that's why I really think FPV can really change so many lives in a positive way, because we are meant to be out in nature. That is where we are meant to be. We're meant to be around the trees, to be around the buildings or whatever we want to fly around, the bando or your park. Just be outside with the fresh air, with the weather, being nice, of course. And I feel great when I'm outside and I have the sun beating on my face, and I got a nice cool breeze, and I'm flying and I'm in my zone. There's nothing better. There's nothing better than mixing this awesome technology with being out in nature and just harnessing that together. It's a very
It's
raw,
really beautiful.
yeah, it's a beautiful, raw, just artistic, it's just amazing. Zoe, I'm gonna let you hold down the stream for just a second. I've got to take a quick clean my throat break. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Stream is yours.
What's the juicy gossip? What are we going to do? I got to myself right now. I honestly, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with my hands. It's been 3 hours and 21 minutes. I have no fucking clue that this was going to be 3 hours long. That being said, apparently I can talk for over 3 hours, and it's not being an issue for me. Did you all hear about the drone that tried to get through the TSA with a 50,000 mAh hour battery? Yeah, 50,000 milliamp hour. A lot of power for a drone to go through TSA with. Well, let me tell you this. I tried taking a 50,000 mAh battery through TSA once. They did not let me take it through TSA. That bitch was confiscated from me. It was a $500 battery that was just gone because I needed to go on a plane and could not take it back home. So yeah, don't take expensive batteries on planes. Ship them to your destination because I don't even think you're allowed to check that into luggage. Let's see what else. Don't fly FPV while wearing green after Labor Day. Joshua Bardwell oddly smells good. Drew Camden is as hectic as he looks to be on film. Vanover is very much like Vanover is, although he's much nicer when he's not competing or flying. He's a very, very, very chill guy. Bachgrinder, still my favorite homie to smoke with blunt with. Let's see. Cricket. We did things that shall not be spoken of. A lot of fun. I had so much time of fun with those people that I just talked about. That 100%. Okay, moving on.
Awesome. Sorry about that. As the night has gone on, my phlegm has increased.
No, I could hear the build up. I'm like, oh no,
Yeah,
no.
yeah. It's taking its toll on me, but we got through it. So you throwing out some fun facts right there. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, the Bardwell smells oddly good one. That's a weird fun fact. Yeah.
That's funny. Did you ever get to meet Gelato?
No. Thank God.
Did you ever get to? Oh gosh, now I can't think of his name. I'm gonna think of it. One of the first, Carlos. Did you ever get to meet Carlos?
Well, now I'm thinking it's a different Gelato and a different Carlos. I don't know who these people are. Who are you talking Carlos? Who's this Carlos person?
Oh, what is his FPV handle? Someone help me in the chat. One of the early Rotor Riot pilots.
Oh, no, you're talking about Charpoo.
Yes, Sharpoo.
Yeah,
yes.
no, I've met Carlos. Yeah, we hung out on
Awesome.
set a couple times. It's cool. I like
Awesome.
Charpoo. He's chill.
Yes.
Yeah, no. Carlos is a very, very chill person. Charpoo, honestly, I remember back when Rotorite was forming, and Charpoo had the choice of like either putting some time and effort and energy into Rotorite full time or taking his job, I believe, at DreamWorks seriously and being a head animator over there. And he was a head animator, so he kind of vanished a bit from FPV to focus on life, which honestly made sense. And it's very sad that, again, sad to me that someone who is, in my opinion, the epitome of FPV God on Mount Rushmore, Charpoo, at the time was like, yeah, no, there's no future in this for me. Even at my level, I'm going to go be an animator over at DreamWorks. Like,
He's
that to
actually
me
been
was very
posting to his
heartbreaking.
channel too here recently.
Which is great. I think it's because it's like a lot of the OGs are coming back into it being like, I actually enjoyed doing that. Like it turned into something else, but at the start of why I started doing it, I enjoyed it to do it, and that's why I did it. And I think several OGs are starting to realize that, oh yeah, that's right. I really loved FPV. That was really fun before all the bullshit kind of took over. So yeah, I definitely think there's going to be some more OGs coming back into the woodworks over time.
How about Schizo?
Hopefully, I mean, I love Schizo. He's one of my biggest fans. I'm one of his biggest fans, and I know he posted semi recently on Instagram about getting back into FPV, but I haven't seen anything on his channel. And I'm hoping, at the very least, even if he hasn't posted, I hope that he's flying still, because I just miss the idea that he's flying.
Right.
Like, it makes me sad that Schizo would not fly for several years. It makes me sad that I didn't fly for a couple of years. It makes me sad there's several OGs that, again, going back to that, did not figure out a way to make it work in FPV for them, while, multi-million-dollar companies sprung up all around. Not necessarily in FPV, but in drones. And it's It's
While I
frustrating.
will say, as much as I am so passionate about FPV and I love FPV, sometimes it is needed to take a break, to actually take a break and actually let yourself miss it. Because if you do it all the time and you put everything in and you do it constantly, you can get to a point where it kind of becomes not as much fun, and the wow factor may start to kind of slip away a little bit because it's becoming like a normalcy. It's becoming normal. So if you take a break and take a step back and maybe take that week or month or, just a couple little bit of time away, let your let yourself miss the experience to where you get back into it. It's almost like it's a refreshed feeling when you get back into it after taking a break.
Yeah, no, I definitely felt that coming back into it. And it was more of a rediscovering FPV because, like, when I left, I physically couldn't go to the field, but like I had 5 quads ready to go, teched and like ready to rip, and I had all of my gear ready to rip. It wasn't like I left things with a bunch of stuff broken and things not functioning. So like coming back into it, it was this rediscovering of FPV, and in doing so, it was like rediscovering why I loved it so much. Um, and through that, I started posting again, and I posted a couple videos. They did really well. People were like, "Oh, hey, Zoe's back." And I was like, "Cool, I'm back." And then I started posting more videos, and I was just like, they're not hitting as hard as they used to. They're not. I don't know. It's not. I started realizing that I started trying flying more because I wanted to make content again than I was to fly. And then I started realizing the trap that I was getting stuck in again. And it was this immediate wake up call of like, oh yeah, that's right. I'd go out and have a session a couple times a week for an hour. And then I'd go home and spend like 10 hours working on a video. And while I enjoyed editing and working on the video and the content, um, it it's kind of detracted from flying, especially when I was competing, because there was a time when I went from hobbyist to competitor to content creator. And through that, it's really hard to be a competitor and a content creator in the drone space because content creation takes so much time, effort, and energy. It makes you a worse competitor. And a lot of FPV pilots that I've seen, racing pilots especially, like competition pilots, when they've shifted focus from competing and flying to content creation, their piloting skills stagnated, their flying stagnated, their pushing stagnated, their love of FPV in some ways also starts to stagnate a little bit with it. Because now it's no longer I'm flying to fly. I'm flying to make a video, to make content, to get the feedback, to make this loop happen, to do this thing. And it's very, in so many ways, self-destructive because you're not. It's not healthy. I think a lot of content creators in the FPV hobby get into that. And I even said there are content creators. It's pilots. Pilots get into this motion of I'm going to make content because I love it. I'm passionate about it, and they get so wrapped up in the content that they forget about the context, which is the flying, the actual reason you're doing it.
I
So
used to be one of those pilots, content creators, that, you know, every time I would fly or every time I would go somewhere, I had to film, I had to cover, I had to record, I had to get this, I had to get that. And I actually got to a point where it almost felt like a burden when I would go out because it's like, oh, I got to remember to bring my camera and I got to remember to get this shot and that shot and capture this moment and that moment. And it started to take away from the freedom feeling of me just going out and just flying FPV and not worrying about all of that stuff. So I recently started just flying for myself. Just go out, fly a couple packs, Don't worry about recording it. Don't worry about B-roll. Don't worry about making the video. And it has been so refreshing, rejuvenating in so many ways to me and my mental health and all that I truly enjoy it now. And I get to a point now where if I want to create, if I feel like I'm in a creative mood and I want to film, I will. But if I
Yep.
don't, if I'm not feeling creative, I'm not going to force it. I'm not going to push. If I just want to go out, like I went out with Bot a couple months ago, and we had this awesome RC car bash session. Epic, right? I'm thinking, oh man, I should have filmed this like I was with Bot. But then I was like, no, you know what? I told Bot that day, this day's for us, man. This day's for me. This day isn't for making a video and doing. This is for me to have fun with my friends, and we're gonna have a great time. And I had a blast. We had a fun just ripping RC cars around and flying our quads and chasing them, and I didn't film a single thing, not one thing, and it felt great. It felt absolutely fantastic. So
Yep. No, that's because I feel the same thing. I got to the point where I always felt like I had to have a camera in my hand. I had to film all the interactions, film all the stuff because like people want to see this content. People want to be included in this experience. I need to film my perspective. And then it also gets to the point, like, even if you're not trying to put a face on for the camera, you're still trying to smile / present / whenever you're talking in the camera, you're still on some level talking to the camera. So it's exhausting, and it became very exhausting. And when I came back into FPV, I noticed that I started doing it again. I was like, shit, I've got to put out a video every week. I've got to put out 1 or 2 videos a week. I've got to up my production. I got to do this. And it's also at a time when a lot of people are quitting YouTube as well. Like a lot of content creators just like, fuck this platform, fuck all of this, and fuck you, CEO of YouTube. Like, you just made this platform unsustainable for so many content creators, big content creators, people that have been doing it for many, many years, that have put in their life's work essentially onto their channels. And is not working for these people. And I see the same thing too with long form content. It's just not working. And it takes a lot to make long form content. It takes a lot of effort and energy to make a 20-minute vlog that's really nice and fun and people watch. It takes energy to produce that stuff. And it's like, the real question is why produce it? And I always go back to one, because I know people get something from it, at least people that watch my channel and watch my videos. It's, I wouldn't say to inspire everybody, but some people are inspired to inspire people to try 3D, to get people into FPV, to, to push the community further. That's been the core reason I think I've always posted content. And to try to stick with that is important. But at the same time, as a content creator, I want to make things that are seen. I want to make things that people watch. I want to make things that the platforms that I'm on are going to push forward. And long form content on YouTube, not really it right now. And I don't know if it's just because the way the algorithm is tweaked, or the way the watch hours are performing, or if it's YouTube pushing shorts over long form. I don't know what the exact reason is for it, but I know it's happening, and I know it's there, and I know a lot of people are feeling it. And it's not just me, a smaller content creator, coming back to YouTube's platform being like, the fuck is happening here? It's the bigger ones too. And so for me as a creator, I want to make the content that I like to have fun with. And I kind of, going back to my new sponsor that I can't talk, I could technically talk about it. There's nothing keeping me from talking about it. I just want to keep the surprise on the burner as long as I can.
No, you should. You should.
The video proposal I have for them is one of the funniest, most fun, most viral, like just fun concepts for a video. Just sheer fun. Like every shot is fun. Everything about this 10-second video that I want to make is fun. And it's not a big, involved, heavy process where I have to think about a shot list, or I've got to record a bunch of this, or, oh God, I've got 10 hours of footage I have to ingest and sort through to fucking edit something together. No. I had this idea for this company's product that I want to make that's 10 seconds long, and it's the most fun fucking idea that I've had in years. And it has me excited to make that content. And it's
That's
funny
awesome.
that it took that to get me to refocus on what I think about making content. So like I've written a script for the Hissingy Stargazer to make a short video of that. Because initially I was going to make a long form video that was going to be like 10 minutes long, talk about this, go this, very bland and stupid. But platforms don't want 10-minute videos. They don't want long form content. They want short, fun, entertaining things. And I want to make fun things. And so making fun, short, entertaining content seems kind of fun right now. So this video is going to be like 7 seconds long. It'll be like 5 shots total. Very simple, artistically easy to make. But it's the kind of content that I think people will watch, that people in the community will enjoy, at least in short form. And it's the kind of content that I'll enjoy making on top of the platforms will hopefully push. And I've seriously been trying to figure out that Venn diagram for the last 4 months since I've gotten back into FPV. And it's been very difficult. And I don't think I have it figured out at all. I'm just getting a lot closer to figuring out what I want to make and what I want to do.
Hey, good to have a good night, Glenn. It's good to see you as always, brother. I want to tell you my thought, my opinion on the short form content. This is honestly what I think, and honestly would like to see happen. I think 100% that YouTube and all the other social media platforms are favoring short form content. They're showing short form content above longer form content. Now, I don't know about yourself, but for me personally, I have spent hours. I kind of regret to say it, and I'm kind of embarrassed to say it, but I have spent hours watching short form content. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts. I have spent time doing that. And I will tell you that after doing that, I almost have a sense of emptiness inside. Like I felt like, okay, I just spent 2 hours watching a bunch of ridiculous content. That was funny. Okay, yeah, some of it was funny. Maybe some of it was a little bit educational. But what do I take away from that after the 2 hours? I feel like empty inside.
Yeah, the
So
long form content is the meat and potatoes. It's the substance, and like the short form content largely is like these little bits of popcorn slash like candy. Like it tastes really good, but there's not much substance to it.
So I think what we're gonna see is I think we're gonna see a recovery or slash bounce back to long form content eventually. Once this, short form content, once it starts to wear out people, and it may not affect everybody the same way, but I do feel like it's going to leave people hungrier for more. I don't want to keep scrolling through. I want to put something on and just let it play and just listen. I don't think short or long form content is going to go anywhere, but I do think we're going to see a lot of people are going to leave and are going to stop doing it because of this transition. So I would say if you like doing long form content, stick with it. I think it's gonna bounce back. I really do.
I think so. I think it will too. I'm not. It's like I'm not inspired to do it as much right now because I feel like I can get 10x more views and I do 2x less work on short form, to be rewarded way more by the algorithm right now as it is, versus to spend the energy and effort to make content that, while I might enjoy, won't be seen or pushed nearly as much as if I spent time on something else that I'd also enjoy, which is really frustrating for me. And it's also, I'm kind of creatively dead inside too. I realize, like, I don't know what long form content I would personally want to make anymore, besides review videos, which are boring as fuck and still do well on YouTube. Like, people want to know about product. But that's a very niche thing, and it's not necessarily my niche. I honestly don't know what my niche is if I have one, but it's not my niche. So yeah, I don't know. I like the concepts of the short form though. Like, I want to have fun making content, just like I have fun flying. And if it's not fun to make, then I have a feeling it might not be fun to watch. And if it's not fun to watch, then I don't know why people are gonna watch it. Unless it's educational or if it's shocking. Like, it has to be literally one of those three things on YouTube. If it's not educational, if it's not shocking, if it's not fun or entertaining, then it's not something that gets eyeballs. So like, if you don't meet one of those things, whatever. I don't necessarily want to be shocking, although that still might happen. We'll see. Just not in the ways people think. Entertaining, I might be able to be entertaining. I'm not a comedian by trade, but I've been told I've been funny on occasion. And while I am knowledgeable, I don't want to be Bardwell, nor do I want to be a YouTuber that is just regurgitating information in a more palatable way for people to understand. Like, that's not something that I enjoy doing. It's not something I want to do particularly. I would love to review stuff. Like, it's, for example, if Beta sent me a Pavo Pico with an O3 in it and said, here, test this out, do whatever the fuck you want to do with it. Just make content. We don't care what you do with it, just make something with it. I would have fun with it. I'd figure out something fun to do with it, and that would be fun for me. And I would enjoy that. But as far as like the old school sponsorships or like things like, we want X amount of videos for this, we want you to put this logo on all of your videos, and like that old school form of sponsorship and stuff, nah, Zoe don't play that game anymore. That's a stupid game to play. And sponsors, if you want someone to make something that's going to be truly great, they have to be passionate about it. And the things I'm passionate about are things that are fun. And I think those are going to be the things that people are going to enjoy watching.
Most importantly, make the content that you want to make, though. At the heart of it, you have to make stuff that you enjoy making. Because if you constantly cater to the algorithm, and you constantly, if it's making content that you don't particularly enjoy, but you're just making it because you know that's what the algorithm wants, that can lead to burnout. It definitely can. It will basically make you feel like it sucked your creativity just completely out of you. You know what I mean? So I would say always try to, at the heart of everything, whether it's long form or short form, you make what you want to make deep down, what you enjoy making, what makes Zoe happy. You know, what makes you feel fulfilled when it comes to your content. You know?
I just realized we're almost up to 4 hours. We're very close to getting to 4 hours and 20 minutes.
I know. I am definitely rounding this in to the landing strip. And I
think this is, I can honestly say this has been the longest single interview I have done in the entirety of the existence in my time in FPV. By far, this is probably twice as long, and it's not a problem. I think it's fucking awesome. We talked about so much shit in this one singular event. No, it's good.
Yeah,
it's been fun.
I had every intention on making this as long as possible because, like I said earlier, you are my inspiration, and you are one of the main reasons that I sit here today and am in this hobby and have been able to share what I share is because of you, Zoe. And I'm so thankful for what you do. And just never forget, you are an inspiration to so many. And just keep up the good fight and just never let anything hold you back, and definitely never let anything take your creativity or inspiration away, because you are an amazing, inspiring woman, and I can't wait to see what else you got coming. And I'm so happy for all of your successes, and I wish you very, very, very many more.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to pushing this year into a much better place and ending it on a much better note than it started. And even though this week has been a fun one, I think, I think there's more in store. I'm honestly really excited. I kind of want to drop this like announcement, but I'm gonna wait.
You wait. You put it on your channel. That's all right. We've unpacked a lot tonight. If you want, I can do this because I know you're just dying to tell somebody. If you
I've told a
want,
couple people so far. Everyone I've told has been super like, holy shit about it.
if you want, you wait backstage. I'll bring the stream to an end, and you can tell me personally backstage, and that will stay between me and you.
Okay, I'll do that because I'm
We'll
kind of
do we'll
curious
do
what
that.
your reaction and thoughts are going to be as well.
Yep, we will do that. So, on that note, guys, I'm going to let Zoe go ahead and go backstage and round this out to a close. But thank you so much, Zoe, for being on the show tonight. It was awesome having you on. A dream
Well,
come
thanks for
true.
having me. It was a lot of fun, and I'm glad we actually got to talk for almost 4 hours. It was really good.
Absolutely. And please don't anybody hit me in my inbox and ask me what Zoe told me, because I'm not going to tell you. You have to subscribe to her channel and make sure you follow her channel so you can make sure you're there and hear the announcement yourself. All right.
Yeah,
Huh?
I said yeah. Yeah. That is.
I will see you backstage in just a moment, all right?
Bye,
Love you,
everybody. Have a
Zoe.
good night.
We love you, Zoe. All right, guys, give Zoe a round of applause once again. This has probably been my longest stream in history, and definitely a lot of fun. And I appreciate you guys working with the whole my voice being off tonight. And I am so thankful for all your support tonight as well, guys. Really appreciate it. It's been a minor setback for content for me, being down and out with the sickness, but I do have some reviews coming up, so you're not going to want to miss out. I do have some more content on the way, so make sure you're subscribed, click that bell icon, all the good stuff, and we definitely going to have more live streams as well in the new year. So, guys, I'm going to go ahead and head on out, and I'm going to go ahead and get my early information to Zoe FPV, but you guys are going to have to wait and subscribe to her channel so that you can get that awesome information as well when the time comes. And until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. Edrone out.